35-year-old Tenno Sho wakes up in a mysterious place, completely lost. His mind snaps to his last memory. He woke up in a fog after oversleeping but still dragged himself to work. On the way home, his family wanted yogurt. Crossing the road, a truck suddenly ran him over. He realized that same truck hit others too. He was different. Others shone. He didn't too. Tenet weighed his next move. Then a voice warned, "Do nothing. Everything fails." The incomplete call let him send them all home. Thoughts flashed. He recalled brave heroes and imagined a primal world. He wondered if these were the characters from comics his sister loved. Looking around, he realized he was alone. The others vanished. The voice hinted they found something big. To his shock, another person stood there. Why was he unnoticed? Hearing voices, he knew he shouldn't be here, even with 4 allies. The voice warned the challenge would shatter the world's balance. They still used summoning skills. Tenno had no clue what was happening. Suddenly, he's plummeting. He wakes beneath a tree, scans the area, and realizes he's still lost. His body felt heavy, his strength completely gone. Struggling up, he saw a forest. He fought to shake his lethargy as the dark forest closed in around him. He realized this was the afterlife, just like he'd heard. Somehow, he was pulled into a hero summoning ritual. He remembered his sister's favorite comics about heroes summoned to another world. She spoke of them, but he never believed they were real. He doubted this new world and feared he'd never find a way home. Annoyed, he roared. He stopped, calmed down. He needed to think clearly, decide next steps. His sister claims he thinks magic and demons are real. He realized he'd just shouted way too loud. Looking around, no one heard him. He muttered about the eerie vibe. Since waking up, something had been clinging to his body. It crept into him. He thought about asking for help, but trees stretched all the way to the horizon. The longer he stayed, his condition worsened. Never since waking had he felt so bad. Darkness choked the forest as a mysterious curse drained his strength. He wasn't sure if it was an evil spirit, but it was his only explanation. The black fog swirled around him. He thought of the purification spell against evil demons. He looked around, having no clue what he was doing. He acted like an idiot, not knowing if magic and spirits existed. Something was wrong. His body was already healing. Looking back, he raised his hand and unleashed the cleansing spell. The black fog clears 10:10. Stop. He wondered if an evil spirit was after him. Then he realized magic was real. He figured sometimes escaping reality felt right. Suddenly a wolf appeared, growling, closing in. Shocked, it couldn't tell if it was a dog. He knew it was a wolf. He had to decide fast. Fighting it was reckless. He needs to back away slowly. The wolf approached. Tina knew running meant capture. He saw the wolf's paws shaking. He was prey here, he had to get out. The wolf lunges, but it's all a bluff. Collapsed, writhing in pain. Tina wondered if this was the same black gloom he'd faced before. Fear rose, but his animal lover instinct prevailed. He had to save the wolf. Remembering the cleansing magic's effect, he turned it on the wolf. Surprisingly, the wolf growled at him, but he gave it a shot. Raising his hand and casting cleansing magic, he watched the wolf recover. Tenno felt tenderness. The wolf, once scary, now looked almost cute. Cooler and scarier despite its size, he even wanted to pet its fur. The wolf stalked closer, its dirty fur shocking Tenno in cleanliness-obsessed Japan. I thought the wolf needed cleaning and wondered if magic could help. He cast the cleansing spell, imagining the wolf clean. The wolf stretched, instantly refreshed. It glared and walked away, shocking Tina as he mumbled to himself. Surprisingly, the wolf ran alongside him, keeping pace. Tanam felt its speed. The wolf knew he was no ordinary human. 200 years ago, darkness engulfed the forest. They pulled off the impossible as darkness swallowed the forest. The weak were purged, leaving only the strong. The wolf Tenhem met was King Fenrir, who for 2 centuries watched the forest, seeing countless deaths. His magic resisted the darkness for a while. His cleansing magic only temporarily held back the darkness, but every spell drained his power. Years of constant repetition quickly drained his strength and almost all his magic. Fenrir knew he wouldn't survive this pace. As his strength weakened, he sensed people, deciding to eliminate them all before death. Catching a human scent, he lunged for the kill. Then he met Tenno. Fenrir froze, rage boiling. He couldn't believe it. He never expected such weakness, now collapsing. Fenrir saw Tina signaling him to stay back. Darkness swallowed him, but he couldn't pass out yet. Crushed by disappointment, he collapsed. Tenno sees Fenrir fall, rushes over, and purifies him. Fenrir realized the temporary magic worked way better than expected. He saw no wounds, stunned by Tenno's massive magical power. It surged through Fenrir, healing him. I've never seen magic this precise and limitless. He'd never served a master. Yet Fenrir felt no resistance submitting. Tenno and Fenrir sprinted together, Tenno feeling a surge of energy as the air lightened. Magic revived him and the wolf. They reached the cave, black mist choking the entrance. The fan turned to him, inviting him in. Tendon neared the suspicious cave and decided to stay out. Fenrir neared, but Tenno laughed, claiming it was a joke. Tenno used resolve to cleanse the cave. He touched the entrance to break the curse, but the fog wouldn't budge. He wondered how massive this place was and what secrets lay inside. Shadow entered the cave, met by glowing eyes. Fenrir and his pack were home. Wolves growled, howled, but Fenrir's presence silenced them. Tenno quickly realized the wolves were cursed and helped them with his cleansing magic. Then he spotted the lifeless bodies of the other wolves. He had to fix it. The curse fades. He focuses his magic and casts the cleansing spell again. The curse broke, cleansing the wolves among them. He spotted a dog, filthy and stained by a curse. Their sad eyes made him doubt they understood his intent. She recast her cleansing spell, letting the magic wash over them. The curse shattered, freeing the dog's wolves. Tina realized their shared pain made them friends. Tenova stood proud, wondering what's next. He faced 2 passages deeper into the cave. He asked Fenrir what lay down those paths, but Fenrir had no clue. Tina realized the wolves understood him, but could he trust them to lead? Deeper in the cave, darkness thickened, the curse intensified, and he knew why. He tried cleansing magic again, but the curse felt endless, a power that wouldn't fade. Seeing the wolves still struggling with the curse, he knew he needed to protect them fast, so he formed a barrier. He knew it'd be tough. He had to move fast before the curse swallowed them. He attempted a barrier around them. It worked, but he doubts the barrier can stop physical attacks. Not knowing what was outside, he decided to strengthen the barrier to withstand physical and magical attacks. He took his shot, but Fenris was ready. I just looked at him. Ten just strengthened the barrier, making them safe. Inside, Dickie found the letter K was massive. He's got the magic to handle this. He weighed night vision and clairvoyance, but both were useless and he couldn't pick an image. He quickly grasped the space's layout, using night vision and spatial awareness. It was shockingly real. Though just imagination, he vowed to clean every inch of the area. I unleashed my cleansing magic. He didn't stop, reinforcing the barrier even further. He looked at the wolves, all staring ahead, then noticed, suddenly, the boulder. It started glowing. Did something just hit the barrier? The defender asked if there was any curse on the boulder. Fenrir looked hollow, and Tenno knew no answer was coming. He neared the boulder, unease growing. Soon he looked at Fenrir's aggressive expression, wondering if the stone was alive, its behavior like their first meeting, then cleansed the rock. He debated imagining the cleansing stone more clearly. He imagined it vanishing like in movies, but knew that wouldn't work on stubborn stone, so he envisioned solid stone, chipping it away until it vanished. After work, he cleansed the stone with a spell, and it gradually faded. To his shock, he spotted a bird. The bird took off, flapping and purring. He touched his hand, it was dripping blood. He believed wound regeneration differs from cell healing and wound closure. He healed the bird, then immediately cast cleansing magic. The bird healed, yet its size stayed tiny. The bird pecked Tenno's hand, and it clearly still stung. Apologizing, he gently stroked the bird. Tenno was glad he could rest when he sat, felt strange, but the battle burned in his mind. He realized he still knew so little. Strengthening the barrier, he looked outside. A tattoo-like shadow clawed at the barrier. The barrier attacked, driving the shadow back. The 10 scanned the area but put their magic on hold. The strong barrier calmed him, but one doubt remained. They weren't making any progress. Lance looked exhausted, and Tenno realized he hadn't eaten since arriving, clearly preoccupied with something else. 10 others sat confused. He just needed a safe place to sleep, food, and water. He focused on survival, knowing one stupid move meant death. The cave was the perfect spot to relax. Clean the entire cave, he'd sleep peacefully. He needed to identify the black shadow. Its barrier reaction suggested an outside source. Every shadow put him on edge, forcing him to act. He paused, realizing he couldn't cleanse it until he knew what it was. First, he must examine the cave. He tested his old magic from before his spatial consciousness emerged. Thick shadows hid everything, but he sensed another cave space. He could only see inside the barrier. Beyond it was a total void. He figured telescopy or clairvoyance would work. He needed magic to see the cave from a new angle. Drone or camera. I remembered watching the drone's aerial sunset on TV. The image burned into his mind, so he tried clairvoyance. A screen popped up, startling him, but it worked. He saw a massive rocky mountain on screen, its entrance surprisingly small. He focused, visualizing his power claiming the entire area. He wasn't sure the curse would lift, but suspected cleansing the shadow could send it back to its source. He cast cleansing magic and reinforced his barrier. Wolves circled him, watching closely as he did this. Something drained from his body. He suspected magic. The black curse retreated, leaving the plants looking perfect and pure. An hour later, the shadow returns. He spotted it growing from the ground. Annoyed, he knew he'd have to clean it all over again. The curse grew wider and deeper, so he shielded the land with a barrier. He hurls the curse back. He kept clearing land. He sat down, mentally exhausted but physically fine. Trembling and lost, he just wanted to go home. Fenrir sat beside him. Tenno stroked his fur, wondering if he was truly a wild beast. Surprisingly, he felt calm. He had to move forward, regardless of his doubts. Fenrir's heavy weight brought him relief. Later that night, at a distant castle, stones steamed above a strange, magical circle, and something unusual caught his eye nearby. A man reported unusual forest events to the king. A white light erupted from the forest's heart. One man stayed alert. The forest king fought his final struggle before dying. He forced the man to bleed more for magic stone. The man accepted the order. The king announced they'd almost seized the forest, the world is center. Forest beasts once had a king, a forgotten story. They must die and be honored. He sacrificed his life for the emperor's cause. King asked a man what plagued the forest. Decades passed, the forest unchanged, the king unaware. Evilus cast a magical eye spell over the forest, causing sacred beasts to vanish as demons appeared. For 200 years, no nation dared fight the envelopes, causing nearby states to vanish. Enwellus even sacrificed hundreds of thousands of lives for their evil wizards. He feared they were powerless, knowing humans would soon rule the world. They left, muttering Enveli would fall like the rest. He hoped the creator god would save them. Tina wakes and stretches. Relief hit him as he lifted his head to the blue sky. He looked at Fenrir, realizing Tenno's cleansing meant Fenrir would leave. He'd enjoyed their time. He asked if Fenrir was ready to stay. Seeing Fenrir's reaction, Tenna considers naming him. Remembering Fenrir's silver-white fur from their first meeting, he named him Ko. 2 more wolves, same color. He named the female. So, the male. Geo. 2 more wolves, same color. He named the female. So, the male Geo. He named the black wolf Kuru and the white one Shan, but naming this many felt weird. The group gained a dog, he named it Chai. Admiring the bird's colors and song, he named it Karen. He flexed his naming skills. A memory flickered, but he brushed it off. It didn't matter. He had to focus on reality. Fenrir, confused, was surprised by his new name. A wolf asked what the head said. Ko replied. Tenno named them all. Without him, their Fenrir race would have been destroyed. He possessed insane magic and healing powers. Stay close for benefits. Tenno's magic is back. They must obey him as lord. He spun around and asked for his opinion. Everyone treated Cher well, so he had no reason to disobey. They added that with their lord's strength, they would do everything possible to serve him. 10 of them asked him where to find water. As everyone watched, he explained he needed water. Kira and Cheyenne led him. Tenno told them to wait, then started catching up. They cleared the barrier but kept pushing forward. Reaching the water, Tina saw it was filthy. He doubted it was even water. Kuru and Cheyenne looked calm. Even after cleaning, it still looked off. He patted Kuru and Cheyenne's heads to thank them. Tana couldn't purify the water until he recovered. They left the water, he declared it useless. They need spring water inside the barrier, or better yet, fresh water from Japan. He looked at his hand. Thinking water, it suddenly filled his palm. Tenno stared in awe as water appeared in his palm just by imagining it. He wondered if he could manifest the food he craved. He ordered a judo with a soft boiled egg, extra sauce, extra red ginger. Nothing appeared. He sighed, realizing this food wasn't enough. He asked for cabbage but got nowhere. He asked for chicken and napalm but failed again. He realized he couldn't create what didn't exist, so he looked for food nearby. Looking at the rocky mountain, he knew using it as a base meant securing the area. Wish these trees grew nuts or fruit. I saw mushrooms but didn't dare touch them, so I walked away. He scanned the branches, no flowers, fruit, or nuts, just trees. If he finds nothing, he'll starve to death. You burst from behind, trailing a furious partner, Hio, Kuru, and Cheyenne Bolt, leaving Tenno wondering where they're headed. Tenno watched Cow growl, not getting what the wolf meant. Tenno was confused by the calm act, then realized he was just as worried. He stroked and reassured him, promising they'd all return soon. Keep searching for food. Goodbye. Tenet doubted they'd return. He complained there was nothing but trees. He was starving by then. If he couldn't find nuts or fruits, he'd be lost. He spots a new cave. The cave he'd stayed in since morning sat high on a rocky cliff, nearly unreachable. This new cave was a better place to live, but he couldn't approach it carelessly. He explored the cave, spatial sense guiding him. It stretched wide and had stairway to 3 floors. Underground was huge. I was hyped to explore it. While imagining scenarios, Tenno heard the wolves return and smiled, relieved. To his shock, they hauled in a massive beast's corpse. Surprised, Tenno ordered them to bring it, but their excitement only made him feel sad. They brought a massive beast just to feed him. He wasn't thrilled like the others, but he had to force it down. He happily embraced 3 walls. He wondered who to dissect the carcass. He started by scrubbing every inch of the meat. Visualizing a vacuum, he scrubbed the beast clean. Targeting the filth, he hurled the curses back to the source. After cleaning, the meat finally looked ready and delicious. Tenno guessed it was a wild boar, but wasn't sure. Or a monster. Staring at Ko, he realized Wolf too was a monster. Ko approached the wild boar. Tenon found him cute and funny. He thought, given the hole's condition, he could bite it. Tenon knew if no one else would take it apart, he had to do it himself. He told them to stop staring at the walls. Let's eat. He figured out how to butcher the meat and keep it from rotting. He cooled it by imagining the chill from his luxurious fridge, then applied cooling magic. Satisfied, he realized he had to train his blood. He doubted it, finding it unreasonable, and wondered if magic could help him. He treated blood like water and drained it dry. He dismissed the thought it would just dry up. He touched the boar, focusing on its organs. Thinking of what was inside made him gag. Ko wondered. Lore's plan chase suggested he disliked something. Haya said it was boorish warmth. They glared in disappointment while Tenna studied their vitals, plotting how to end them all. They first tried removing and cauterizing the blood vessels, thinking it was enough. Unlike the rest, Tenem lacks claws and tusks, making it hard to eat. They agreed a joint order, cut everything Tenno moved instantly. Something emerged from the boar's back, and the wolves went wild. Ten incinerates the material, shocking all. He cleared the ashes, everyone stared, disappointed. Ten Up claimed he'd magic away the meat's foul smell. I gutted the fish earlier, but it was packed with organs. Liver, kidneys, brain, and eyes. He pictured them and teleported again. The wolves awoke and tracked the liver as scent. Tenno torched the liver, stunning the crowd. It went well, so next time he'd close his eyes. He could freeze or burn anything, even controlling nature with magic. Tenno told wolves he'd remove entrails, asked for space. Seeing their disappointment, he asked what happened. He sliced the boar carcass with wind magic. He realized he'd forgotten to remove the fur. He took meat and let the wolves take some. Call the ones who brought this so they can get their share. He wanted food too. Ko agreed, telling everyone to move on until Bountiful Forest returns. They shared one small fate. Che saw wisdom in their shared confidence. The coven asked if Che forgot he was king of fearsome wolves. Che claimed he wasn't a king, just a failure who couldn't protect his friends, but Ko promised the kid would find him safe. He ate meat, hinting that given such long, important names, they must use those names. Ten Ovens howled as he torched the meat, telling Ko he wanted more. He placed the extract on the stone, but it turned to tasteless coal, just like the meat. Instead of rushing, he heated it with infrared, and he prepped it. As wolves ate raw meat, they smelled cooked meat and eyed the tent. Tanam met their eyes and grinned, knowing he'd made the right call with the stone. The meat's finally brown, but when he pokes it with a stone, it's rock hard and burnt. He ate, teasing he wouldn't share. Something strange stirred on the rock. He entered the cave with the wolves, needing to inspect it first to make it his base. The space between the cave walls looked normal and totally lifeless. He made the high-ceiling first floor his main room, combining it with yesterday's spot to create a forced-to-re mansion. The first level was a vast, high-ceilinged underground. The space stretched far into the depths. He saw a flicker on the back wall, but found it lifeless. The floor looked solid, but what lurked beneath was terrifying. He rescanned his space and found something below. He wondered how long yesterday's barrier would last. He had to master magic fast. He checked downstairs but hugged Ko, admitting he didn't want to go. He spoke warmly, the reply, better, ready. Descending, Tenno found the area thick with shadow curse. Sharing a feeling, they glowed at him. The curse loomed over him. Tina rushed to unleash cleansing magic. Shocked, his barrier reacted, making him fear the cleansing failed. The curse faded. Tenet questioned their success, seeing only emptiness. The curse reminded him of Karen's past, and he sensed more to it. He saw a winged spider, utterly bewildered. Ignoring it, he battled the black curse using... It purified as the curse faded. The spider watched them. Tenon saw it crawl from the earth and knew he had to finish it. He spotted the main spider and 20 smaller ones. Looking closer, he spotted insects and realized they were monster variants. People always called spiders. Useful. Wings made him pause. No ordinary spider. He leaned in, amazed it survived this long. The main spider shot onto Tenno's hair. Tiny spiders swarmed Chai, making things a nightmare. Tina realized they were harmless and spoke up. Level 2 was massive, so they'll check the blocks and cracks later. He only shouted the cleansing spell before, but with no clear image, the magic still worked. His sister said visualization is key for magic, but rules might be different here. He changed tactics. Instead of imagining, he just said fire. Nothing happened. He couldn't grasp why it wasn't working without a clear image. He tried again, with water. Liquid on your purchase. Visualizing the fire, he chanted again. This time, the magic hits. The fire scared the wolves. He realized magic worked when imagined, but couldn't grasp why it failed without. He imagined water but said fire, and the flames sparked again. He wasn't sure if his new magic needed a clear mental image. He stepped forward. Magic moved with him. He realized if a word connected to magic, it gained priority, always linking to that image. Convenient, but he wasn't sure. Thinking, he spotted a crack in the cave wall and realized who snuck through. He touched the crack, hoping for space, but found no curse, saw nothing. Maybe Blake could guide him like a ball of light. He unleashed a light so blinding it made Coast's eyes throb. Tannen apologized, then struggled to dim the light, unable to adjust the magic. He asked the wolves if they worried. He peeked through the crack, spotting shiny stones. He wondered, then the spider's head pushed in with a small stone. Tenor recognized silverstone, quality material. He called the spider leader to thank him for the gift. He realized calling the spider leader was right. The wolves stared at the stone. Tenet wondered if it was rare. It was stunning, but he didn't need it yet. He tucked the mithril in his jacket. Tenno casually mentioned more shiny things on other floors, but Shine noted Tenno's unnerving calm seeing the mithril, making Kuru question if Tenno was even human. With no more cracks to search, he'd finally conquered the Rocky Mountain. He searched the bag for useless gear, but when he looked away, his phone was snatched. Base secure, Tenno scouted for survivors while fortifying the camp for a safe night's rest. He told the group he needed a cushion because the hard floor was too painful. He sought something soft and smooth to use. The floor shifted instantly. Was it leveled? They stared at him, surprised, and he wondered their thoughts. Despite the change, the place grew convenient, letting him smooth the stone. The surface was pristine, wolves amazed. Coast couldn't believe its solid rocks pulsed with magic. True to his title, their lord arrived first and took command. Suddenly, everyone loses their footing. Tina was surprised, honing magic was hard. Ko stayed on his feet, knowing falling would look funny. Lightning lit the sky, slamming into Tenno's barrier. Only the spider leader noticed, recalling its past carrying hellish fires deep underground. He dragged every victim into the lava, making him feared by everyone. He was doomed to die as Turnia, the keeper of death. Once huge, the spider shrunk, oblivious to its tiny form. He spent all his magic protecting the children they survived by luck or his sacrifice. The powerful miasma vanished as Ko spoke its true name. the spider replied, wondering if Ko saw the real him or just a hallucination. He was so fragile a breeze could sweep him away, but he brushed Koza off and told him to back off. He asked what happened as magic returned, then questioned the dark magic. He hesitated to mention Tenno Ko understood the spider, but Tenno's power saved them. She called it impossible human pollution, but Cod argued Tenno's magic felt different. They hailed him Master. Spider questioned Fenmer. Sboast. They both agreed they hold no grudge against the spider family. He warned a spider turning on its master spell's disaster. The spider scoffed, swearing he'd never do something so evil, as those 10 held hundreds of times more magic than any of them at full strength. The spider felt Tenno's magic quickly restoring the forest. Ko promised peace to save the forest kings, but the spider asked why Ko assumed he'd lose. After their talk, he got serious and told him to stop the kids teasing Chai. The spider realized his kids weren't teasing him. Ko explained that since they distanced themselves from him and gathered around Chai, Chai became terrified. The spider asks who Chai is, so Ko explains their master named him and tells the spider to call him Ko. The spider confirmed his name, remembering Tenno called him Chief yesterday. He asked about last night's lightning and its terrifying magic surge. No response. The same attackers struck again, but the Tenno barrier held. Chief gasped. Impossible. Ko hinted Tenno's sky barrier would drain their magic. He admitted even at his peak, he couldn't hold this barrier for a moment. Their master remained unmoved. Tenno sat alone, brooding. He hadn't seen a soul in days. Prepping his base, he launched a drone to scout, but found nothing but endless forest. Although he traveled a great distance, he saw only animals and found no house or road. Only wild terrain stretched everywhere. He wondered if he was in a world without people. The line cut, but he still had hope. He hadn't checked all places. Meanwhile, the house renovations were smoothly transforming the vibe. Since then, after many attempts, he smoothed the floors and walls. He carved stairs into rock, made passages to other floors, and grew skilled, learning instant movement. Outside, it looks like a normal mountain, but inside, stairs lead to a spacious mansion with a 2-story basement. He studied the stone S structure, wishing someone appreciated his work. Only wolves watched. Moving instantly, he noticed a sick trend: animals racing to devour their prey's guts first. Like the Inuit eating raw meat for vitamins, maybe fresh meat isn't so bad. Meat for every meal got old fast. He was dying for some fish. Sick of endless meat, he saw the cow acting strange and had to investigate. He saw the cursed creatures return. This time they attacked head-on but got wrecked, leaving him baffled. Yesterday's lightning strike made everything worse, more irritating. He told them not to worry and inhaled deeply. At the cave's peak, he launched his drone and scanned the area. He saw a lasting curse thinly cover the forest. He spotted a massive lake past the barrier yesterday. Clear this point, and he'll simultaneously expand and strengthen the barrier. Ko watched as Tenno gauged the distance to the lake, pulsing his magic outward using an old mining trick. He imagined magic threading to the lake. Further than expected, he'd still manage. Ko unleashed massive power as his magic surged, becoming dangerously strong. 10-0 Ven commanded imagine expanding this stretched magic, blanketing everything to the lake. So it closes to Earth's bottom. He extended the fence and cleared the land to the lake. Barrier grew tenfold and his body lightened. On the shore, he said, "Here, you feel infinity." They were no match for me. Cat nodded. Tenno knew water contamination came from outside, so he suggested filtering it with a barrier membrane and set up a 3-layer system. It felt like a curse was being cast. Until the other side stops its attacks, he'll send back the accumulated curse daily. He touched Ko and said, "We'll finish this tomorrow." Outside a fortified kingdom, a man notes another peaceful day. Mislost, the commander of the 4th Chavorian Order of Inwellis, addressed the gamers. Gamires, the commander of the 1st Order of Chivalrek, noticed Mislost's early return. Mislo claimed nothing important appeared. Gammer pressed about forest changes. Mislo denied any, but knew a monster would eventually strike. The king's barrier protected the kingdom, and while Hammer said they were safe, he still hesitated. Mislo felt this wasn't gamers, troubled by strange forest light. The gamers explained that days ago, a bright light erupted from the forest center. A magical stone empowered their king to suppress forest kings. Never had they seen such change. The Forest King was no mere man. A myth, yet it still held massive power. Mislos agreed, explaining why they expanded the 4th recon mission, but promised he'd be fine. He reminded Gamorum Invelis repels invaders for 400 years, thanks to the king and wizards. Forced to trust the king, they dove into battle. He glanced outside, muttering that Wam is lost was true. He stayed alert as beasts beyond the barrier grew stronger, but the night passed without a single fight. Miss Lost headed home for a hot bath Gamma. His father apologized for the delay, then focused on the magical stone. A magic ice bell controls the world's central forest, powered by a mysterious ancient stone that killed every wizard who tried to study it. Court members used the stone's power to halt aging, holding power for centuries. The players knew the story was fake. They aged slowly, but the kingdom's fate rested on a single stone. He wondered what was this mysterious power. Hammer stepped out. A group of elves approached. He admired their intricate backs as they passed, stunned he hadn't seen them appear. The man barked at them to move faster. Gamers found the many slaves strange, and the man recognized him as Chevrolet's first quarter commander. He asked about his ties to the slave house. The gamer denied just passing by. Relieved, the man admitted he couldn't deliver slaves anyway. Supplies were exhausted. Shocked, the players learned 50 beasts were sacrificed to the magical stone yesterday. As numbers fell, they reassessed their strategy. Hammer's still processing, but he's got a bolt. As he leaves, an armored swordsman and a companion approach, noting that Commander Shavoik is rarely seen here. Gammer immediately recognized him. Gambla, 5th Quarter Commander. He knew Gammer, the ultimate battle fan even among magic-enhanced troops, struggled to talk to him, only commenting on his new impressive sword. Gamal's new sword mimics the royal blade, a magic weapon that grows sharper with every drop of blood. Gamma tested his new sword on slaves, mimicking the king by drinking their blood. Hammer urged restraint. Once Gamal left, he ordered the overseer to find the attractive slaves, but the man revealed they were already picked for breeding. Gamal just sneered, saying he didn't care. He condemned 2 slaves to the blade. The blade was razor sharp. He collapsed in shock. Gamma complained it was boring since the slaves' crests made them feel no pain. Gamal's priest insisted he wait until the sword absorbed energy, explaining a special technique was needed. Gamma snapped at him to start. Gamers saw the kingdom sinking into madness. Next, Tenno prepared a fishing trap. He replaced the thread with vines, but proudly finished. He swung the trap, showing Ko how to catch fish. As Kuru went for the meat, Tina called it tasteless. He went to the lake for fish. He reached the lake, devastated by its curse. Disappointed, he muttered, still hoping to find it after coming all this way. He checked, confirming his suspicions it was bad. The water's curse resisted cleansing, so Tenno instantly formed a barrier. It temporarily left the lake and river to focus on water purification. He tried purifying it, filtering river water through membranes, but needed to separate the curse over a larger area. Confused, he drew a blank. The curse had scattered everywhere, like a washing machine's centrifuge. He carelessly ran his hand over her fur. Her hair straightened. He realized static attracts dust, so it might collect curses too. Intrigued, he focused, raising his hand over the lake, imagining covering its surface with static electricity to absorb the curse. It worked, but cursed black spots flooded the surface, making the lake even filthier. At the castle, priests surround the enchanted stone as a man asks for questions about the court marriage. The court magician claimed it was minor, just yesterday's incident. No nearby loads damaged the stone, raising concerns. The man saw nothing strange. The court magician studied the stone, doubting his eyes until he locked onto a specific spot. Near Lake Tenachad, he gathered curse energy into the sky. He proudly declared he'd gathered everything walls watched, stunned. Tenno kept his promise, returning the cursed energy plus everything he'd gathered inside the barrier. He vanished it instantly, leaving the lake crystal clear. He smiled, saying they just had to wait for the animals to return. CO2 thrilled. Tenno told the wolves to head home and design the interior. Inside the castle, the wizard summoned Tenno to inspect the magic stone's scratch. Instantly, the stone erupted in light. Intrigued, the wizard spotted a small crack in the stone. In the main hall, the king sat, ministers lined up. A minister finished his report, and the bald advisor beside the king demanded the next. Bored, he heard nothing important. He only cared if the forest and world were his. He asked how the magic stone sacrifices went, and if the forest was near collapse. He vowed to drain the forest dry, grinding it to dust to build his new world. Next, he'll crush the remaining Beastman land. Knight burst in with an urgent message. The man beside the king questioned the source of the noise. The knight knelt, trembling before the king, reporting a crack in the enchanted stone. The foxman asked if night had fallen, swearing the room didn't exist. Their barrier matches the country sea. The knight confirmed it was more than strange barriers. The room flashed bright, then a crack split the stone. Furious, the king ordered the knight's execution. Creators signaled knight's halt. Everyone sat silent, thinking the same thing. Criticizing the king's rage meant instant slavery. Furious, the king summoned Mislost, ordering him to immediately go to the forest and find the alarmist source. In the forest, a giant cardboard sheet was about to fall, so they fled. After some time, it stopped. He realized he was building the house. Back home, he fried meat and realized his new store made cooking effortless. Even simple frying was a massive upgrade. First floor, a spacious kitchen and dining room for everyone. He found cooking with greenery calming. Smelling the roast, Ho asked Tenno to try some. Tennon handed him a piece, calling it a real treat. He tried it with the others and loved the flavor. His reaction made others want a piece. Tenua agreed, but stopped as he noticed Chaya standing nearby. He called, asking why he stood silent. Others also had to offer meat. Che hesitated to take the share, so Correo reassured him and invited him to the next hunt. Stunned, Che asked if the offer was for real. He smiled and joined them. They feasted on meat, and Tenno suggested doubling the grills next time to cook faster. His bath calmed him. He relaxed, thinking how he heated the water with magic. Magic is the best. He used it to stay clean, but as a Japanese guy, he needs a real bath. No soup this time, he still composed himself, but desired many things. He worked hard to make it happen and shared his journey with everyone. Everyone looked plumper. He doubted they'd still fit. Next, he crafted a makeshift toilet. His emotions broke. He missed it so much. He remembered sneaking into the forest to avoid wolves, but someone caught him, warning it was dangerous alone. As they walked, Tenno promised him everything would be fine. He stopped reliving the past, knowing it was gone forever. Soaking in the tub, he realized magic made him meticulous. His stones were 100 real. The self-cleaning washlet blew his mind with its magical power. He checked the noise near Tenno and got blindsided. He stepped out blushing, shocking the group. He confessed he'd accidentally spied on his master and feared Tenno would now hate him. Tenon, as usual, offered to install doors, proud of his toilet. He built one on every floor. Practicing magic, he accidentally created an unexpected silver ore, resistant to magic. Shocked by the stretch, he wondered how far it could go, while the chief watched in disbelief as Tenno channeled magic through mithril. Tenno kept stretching until light pierced through, making it clear as glass. Even thinned out, it looked perfect. Curious, he slid the material into the rock windows. He opened windows on every floor. He kept the wooden floor to store his mountain of materials. He searched the forest and found a massive tree, the straightest and tallest one around. He remembered from TV that drying wood takes years to process. He used magic to slice the branches and strip the bark. Tenno saw the wood's quality time to cut boards. He used wind magic to quickly finish the work, but forgot to cut the base. Now the boards threatened to fall on them. He realized his mistake next time. He'd cut the stump after felling the tree. He hauled the boards to the base front edge. He flashed straight into the fourth-floor bedroom. He told them, then started laying the floor. She thought a few boards would be an easy fix for the floor. He saw the boards' uneven gaps in thickness. Boards were too heavy, large, even with instant movement, precise adjustments. His perfect floating plank technique flopped. He realized a solid floor meant future trouble. He slumped down with a sigh, staring at the mountain of work ahead. He changed his approach, regretting no proper tool to plane boards. His stone was too rough, so he'd make a tool from silver ore. He stretched the metal thin, forging it into a lethal blade. He checked the sharpened blade, it was lethal. Ko was impressed, but Tenno warned him to handle the blade carefully against the hard stone. The Rocky Mountains surprisingly flexed with magic, and he found it interesting. He wanted more than just meat, so he wondered if he could craft a pot. Thinking, door hinges inspired him to craft a doll. He ordered the windows opened and hinges installed on the fourth-floor door. His doll turned out super cute. He sank more shots, realizing it had been way too long since he played with clay. The stones shimmered, and he realized he could make only their eyes glow. Finished his creations, he passed out. Next morning, he woke, letting them sleep longer. Rising, he noticed the forest was neatly arranged. The stage was set. Suddenly, the dolls moved on their own. They assembled boards and lay the floor. The wolves washed up and turned toward him. Confusion hit him. 9 dolls, carved from the stone walls he built last night. He couldn't explain how they woke up until he remembered a story about elves making shoes at night. Tenno wanted the floor done while he slept, thinking his wish completed it. He saw a doll hadn't moved, assuming it stayed because he lacked a clear vision creating it, then asked them to halt and gather before him. They froze and, to his shock, gathered at his command. He turned to the final helper bot and ordered it to move. The final doll stirred and Tenno was overjoyed. Tenno assigns them this task. He watched them work, amazed by their quick, neat pace. By 5, they'd finished everything, organized and tidy. They were nice, too. Shocked, wolves called the dolls golems. A wolf asked Ko if these were human weapons used to attack the forest, as Ko urged calm. Tanam knew the wolves feared the stone dolls, but hoped they'd eventually get along. Tenno ordered the dolls to style the upper floors, gave them a break, and headed back into the forest. He followed the wolves, who promised him a mountain of meat. South changed plans, hunting for vegetables and spices. As they continued, Tenon noticed the fog lingered, growing thicker. He cleared the path. He walked, reflecting the curse back to its bright source, knowing the senders would face their own karma. He noticed the forest was brighter and asked if it was always this way. 10 fruits hung on the tree, a sight he'd never witnessed. Unsure if it was edible, he stopped to gauge the climb. Fruit was right there, but he couldn't reach it. The leader lunged for the tree and scrambled up. 10 from Smile, pleased, saw the other 8 wolves also climbing the tree. He saw they lacked wings and dubbed them hang fighters. They met just a week ago, but they're growing way too fast. He hoped he was wrong. Everyone was growing fast, and he now stood at 185 centimeters. He saw spiders carrying something, shocked how they got it. He eyed the bright red fruit, doubting it was actually safe to eat. Animals devoured the fallen fruits. He sliced the fruit with a sharp blade, bit off his hand, and it tasted amazing. He cried, saying sweet tasted different after so long the crunchy fruit tasted like a ripe peach. He shared with spiders and the company, then gathered the fruits. He said he accidentally took too many and didn't know what to do. Despite his efforts, the bag only held 1. He wished it was like that robot's pocket. He kept stuffing fruit into the bag, amazed it all fit. This magic was insane. Heading back, he grabbed more food while the wolves hunted a wild boar and brought it back. Tenno returned. Hyo brought a large haul, checked for injuries, and told Sochi to check himself, having taken the most hits. Tenno ordered them to clean it all first, then he laid out the produce, realizing he brought way too much without salt. These improved their diet. Preparing to pray, he sliced to draw blood and stripped the skin with the wind. He sliced the meat and prepped it to cook. The walls lunged inward, ready to bite. Insides spilled, they apologized, but asked them to eat everything. As they ate, Ko portioned meat for storage while Shane praised Tenom's clean cuts, but Karu noticed a massive pile of liver. Tenno says the front is cramped, but with salt he'd make ham and learn leather tanning. He used the first underground cold storage. Warehouse needed cooling tables, but couldn't get them now. He'd figure it out later. As meat cooked, Karen felt its pull. Tenno stepped up, thanked Karen for the perfect meal, and noted he preferred it cooked. He described the vegetable slightly sweet, like raw cabbage lettuce with a tender center. He remembered a sour, bright green fruit and described its refreshing scent. He poured it right over the grilled meat. He tasted it. It was hot, sweet, and melted instantly with a sharp kick of acidity. He called the basic meat tasty and asked for sauce. Everyone gathered except Karen, but where was the boss? In 3 days, they floored the upper levels. He was pleased the dolls handled all the hard work, even the kitchen. Since it was important, he improved it, ordering a 200 by 160 by 60 frame. He doubted they'd make it. Approaching the chief, he knew with food and shelter secured, only one task remained. The boss grew massive, and as expected, it was terrifying. The boss told Tenno to look, bragging that the Manateno infusion had completely healed him. The children overflowed with gratitude, but Tenno also needed much mana for the barrier and golems. The chief kept providing forest mana, but Tenno worried about him. As he approached, Tenno sensed Chief wanted to speak, and Chief seemed intelligent, even friendly. Tennono had a question for the boss. His clothes were falling apart despite daily cleansing spells. They crafted like spiders, but Chef never broke anything. Tenno wanted new clothes. He discussed trade, asking the chief for plants that last longer since boss stayed silent. Tenno doubted his understanding. He set out with Chief, Che, and Kuru. He said he only took Che and Kuru since Ko wasn't around. He counted on them. They growled. Kuru, in their language, found the task unexpected, and Che agreed, thinking Tenno didn't need them. He saw his chance to show Ko, who doubted Che's strength. Tenno vowed he'd do anything to meet his master's expectations. Tenno asked the leader if it was here. Giant caterpillars emerged, stunning the wolves. The boss stood frozen, and Tenno wondered what happened. He left the caterpillar, hoping she'd grant his wish. Karu and Che warned of the deadly Swasova, but the chief promised to handle the caterpillars if they didn't provoke them. The caterpillar suddenly snatched Tenno's hand, shocking the chief and the others. Boss eyed the caterpillar's actions. Tenno was terrified, but he felt strangely drawn to the caterpillar. He wasn't what he expected, but he looked tough and ready for use. I handed it to the boss, who admitted he was ready to burn in the Tenno barrier. Kuru and Che were confused. No help was coming. Tenno asked the chief how many larvae they could carry. They placed one on Kuru, one on Chai. The chief assured them the caterpillars wouldn't spit poison, and Tenno apologized to the wolves. Meeting Ko, he's shocked to see Chi collecting insects again. Tenno embraced him, but when Che spoke, Tenno cut him off, joking, and Che's reaction was, as always, sweet. Tenel entered the house, a realization hitting him from his work on the toilet and fridge. Magic could be embedded in stones to act permanently. He also hatched a new plan. Automatic cleaning prevents floor mess. He turned the second floor into a breeding room and added a vent. He added leaves to the food, placed caterpillars on them, then confessed he couldn't manage them alone. He made stone dolls and told them to care for caterpillars. The caterpillars panicked as Tenno froze, stunned by the cute dolls. Yet the caterpillars feared them. Their thread work progressed well. Tenile thought about improving the fabric. He tossed his shirt to the dolls for inspection. They discussed. Tenno wondered if they'd solved it. They wouldn't make the bed now. A doll led him to the bed, and he was delighted, saying it was better than he imagined. He found it suspicious they finished in half a day. Closer to a civilized life, he couldn't wait for the night. As everyone slept, Tenno lay on the bed, finally appreciating it. The stone doll's work was insane. Overnight, the plain walls vanished, replaced by stylish furniture he'd only seen online. Food arrived, chopsticks, water, all set. Eating, he marveled at the planning, finding the food and water twice as good. He spotted 8 dolls. The missing 2 were in the caterpillar's room. He wore a light green t-shirt, black pants. The fabric felt like silk. He jokingly told them to keep quiet about their clothes changing color based on their food. Finally, he sighed, relieved he had enough spear-shaped underwear. He sized them up awkwardly. He spotted the old TV sewing machine, amazed they built it themselves. He decided to shift gears. He headed into the forest with Ko, Shine, and Hale, convinced the search would pay off today. He was already craving some seasoning. With 1 stone left, Penno searched for salt, wondering if this world even had oceans. Pushing ahead, they find another cave 10. New to the area, he liked the big, undulating field near home. He felt a strange weakness and panicked, sensing a curse. He lit a fire and commanded wolves to guard. Heading inside, they pushed deeper until they found a wild path leading even lower. Moving, they heard sounds inside. They entered a vast open space, facing a massive colony advancing. Shocked, Tina immediately rushed forward, eager to fight. Hana couldn't just watch, so he hitched a ride. His cleansing power activated, but failed. Then he raised a barrier, but the ants kept coming. House quickly blocked the ants, pushing them away. Tenno rose, but ants pressed on. The black patterns on the ants unnerved him. Trapped inside the barrier, ants swarmed them, clawing to break through. Barrier held, but Tenno had no next move. The cleaning failed, leaving him out of options. He analyzed the black patterns on the ants. He recalled the wolves' first encounter, then noticed a similar black haze. Maybe they are completely cursed. Then exorcism helps. Ants swarmed from above, but the barrier held. The tendon murmured it wasn't good, trying to picture it clearly. He wondered if two beings could inhabit one body, like possession. He imagined the ants' true selves bound and trapped. Realizing the truth, he vowed to break the curse binding their souls. He ripped the bonds, freeing everyone. That scene reminded him of a dark past. Dark magic engulfed the forest. Rivers disappeared. Fruits became poisonous. When the curse broke, the Forest King vanished, sealing the path to the human world. New monsters appeared, plunging the forest back into darkness. Ant's vision blurred as dark magic consumed it. He feared becoming another monster that would destroy the forest. He couldn't allow that. As a Forest King, he'd never accept that fate. He sought the world-ruling water dragon of the forest for help. Tenno touched the ant's head, promising everything would be fine. The surface felt icy and smooth. Suddenly the ant moved. Tina wondered why. Ko asked his aunt if that was really Anne Farumi. He looked totally unrecognizable. Anne knew King Fenmer. Ants freed them. Ten thanked the ants, then trailed. He remembered Cohen said it was fine, but they'd followed ants for 30 minutes. He was unsure, but the ant leader looked like their chief and didn't seem dangerous. They reached the location. Tenno scanned surroundings with light magic. I found a dark curse Ko asked is a water dragon nest. The ants revealed Berwa was once a beautiful, sacred lake, rich with magic. Tenno knew his fear was true. The lake was lost. Fueled by determination, Tanim used his power to absorb and cleanse curses. Other creatures are trapped in the Rockies, and we are suffering like ants. He felt the curse consume the forest, and he vowed to send the curse back, doubled, then freed the forest from its binding spell. Tenno shocked the company. After cleaning, they reached the lake and saw a stunning view. The ant felt the cleansing power heal and restore strength. He stretched, tense and thinking. Spice hunt spiraled into this. He pushed to keep hunting. The ant followed him, catching the tenor off guard. As they moved on, he noticed a fruit in his hand and felt it was strange yet familiar. Curious, he picked it up to check if it was edible. He sniffed it but smelled nothing. He bit, and strong salt immediately hit him. The taste he dreamed of. He told Ko to grab everything and get home fast. Lady Lost and her knights scouted the forest. Sick and sluggish, some even fainted from the strain. 2 weeks ago at the castle, Miss Lost begs the gamers for a break. He just returned from the forest yesterday. Now he must inspect again. He thought the king wanted him dead from exhaustion. Gammer told him to drop it and play dumb. Miss Lost remembered their panic when the ward magic stone cracked, but after inspection, it was fine. Usually, the magical stones from the monsters were fingertip-sized, but the keystone was huge. Gamers agreed the scratch was worthless. Footage showed the stone was already cracked when found, and Loose Degree ignored it. This recon felt different, but the Fourth Order of Chavarika were forest veterans ready for anything. Built to hunt monsters, it now guards the forest. Mislaw knew the forest well, but nothing ever happened there. It was dark, gloomy, yet useful. He said a normal exam means everything's fine. Players questioned the rumors, sensing something big deep in the forest. Mislaw sighed. Gamers couldn't seriously claim forest kings were there. The gamers froze in terror, so Miss Lost asked why they were scared, reminding them evil monsters are common and forest energy is currently blocked. Even if something appears, the strongest kingdom won to lose. It's decided. As Miss Lost prepped to leave, the village scouts shared a drink. He left the boy in charge, waiting for the knights to move out. The boy agreed to leave, and they began the 10-day trek to the forest. Mrs. Loss asked why Hammer was troubled. He then asked what happened to the First Order team. Ms. Luz disagreed. As Gamer's longtime friend, he knew Gamer's intellect made him overthink. Only one Shavaric gamer avoided using slaves, but Micelost noticed the rest treated them like real humans. Born into slavery, they're instantly branded with a powerful mark. They lost emotions. Independent thought silenced until commanded. Nanzi was far worse, but ignoring them was impossible. After his loss, he saw them only as slaves, and the man felt the same. He felt the fifth commander was treated too harshly. Miss Lost declared that sacrificing so many lives for a magic stone is unacceptable. He held back, suggesting they forget it. The man claimed he even liked part of his loss. Miss Lost wondered if he was being mocked. Gamers writes a letter, reflecting on Miss Last's words. Gamers doubted Miss Lost could find anything without reaching the forest to center. The fourth nightly order claims to know this forest, but they've explored less than 10%. The forest spans half the world, but no one's reached the center. Centuries since the spell, forest kings still seek revenge. Beyond the forest's mighty barrier, nothing could harm the magical stone. Since the stone was opened, it was to be strengthened by numerous sacrifices. Players wondered if a beast stronger than the forest kings had appeared. Weeks later, Miss Lost's squad battled a monster. They drove their blades home, finishing him. The knights celebrated their win, but Mislos ordered them onward. The man beside him sensed trouble too. Half a month into the forest, Mislo noted unusually few monsters. The man agreed. They'd only seen a few, normally 10. Mislost realized these were the kingdom's enhanced beasts, modified to attack only the forest's natives. He regretted not taking the Jishin. They couldn't properly assess the situation on their own. He felt a strange feeling, heard rustling in the trees, and sensed an ominous presence nearby. He didn't grasp the forest's chaos, but someone reassured him they were on the familiar path. Same forest. The air felt suspiciously clean, making Miss Loss uneasy. Fear gripped him. The others felt it too. Sensing they were hitting their limit, Lost suggested salt bricks. He briefed the scouts. He ordered them ahead, scout for threats, return in an hour. Setting off, Mislo knew the long journey ahead. If safe, they'd camp briefly. He ordered 5 slaves on 6-hour guard shifts, while others prepped camp. Others hesitated to camp there, and when Mrs. Lost asked for words, they stayed silent. Mid-task, Miss Laws realized if she couldn't snap the squad out of it, they'd act recklessly. Born emotionless, servants felt no fear, making Lady Lost question their normalcy. He says the district is safe because the slaves' sharp smell and hearing detect every threat. Miss Lost almost answered when the sky flashed. Everyone froze as a beam of light flashed past Ms. Lost. No attack came and no one fell. As the code appeared on screen, the ground glowed, stunning the guards. He snapped, then locked in to prep the ambush. After the chaos, everyone lay unconscious. Confused by the chaos, Miss Lowe suggested the Forest King attacked, but everyone who fell just fainted. No one was hurt. The man approached, reporting all the slaves were gone. Stunned by the loss, he wondered if they were all wiped out. He denied it, claiming they escaped on their own. Shocked, Mrs. Loss wondered if the comb snapped. He had to report this to the king. Tenno told the creature it needs a name to join the team. Seeing her red body, he named her Shuri, and she was deeply touched. Back home, Kuru noted their master was late. They hated playing with dolls. Here's what happened. Karu explained he was returning from hunting, bringing prey to his master's room, but when the dolls saw him, they pounced with an anger he'd never seen. In a moment of pure terror, Shurid appeared, leaving Kuru shocked as he remembered the Garden of Hell. The chief arrived, questioning why Shura was with their master. Sherry asked the real question, why were they here? Their deep rivalry was obvious. Tenno sensed the tension and stopped the fight, knowing their bad blood. Shuri agreed to help, but the leader warned they'd never see eye to eye. If Tenno proves Shuri's worth, their homes are safe. He was impressed. Tenno's strength united 2 warring races. He remembered the Phoenix case and their situation. He stepped inside, finding even the ceiling finished. The dolls called him, and he saw they'd used every board from the square beam. He also recalled he had to address an important matter the next day. Fruits gathered, he saw how much had changed. Now to make the salt he'd always wanted. Unsure if it would work, he used 5 fruits and stored the rest. He'd already tested vegetables to create a time-stop effect, and seeing the fresh fruit now, it was a total success. They covered the silver bowl with a thin cloth. They squeeze with everything they've got. He warned them simmer carefully or it burns. Liquid remained, so he strained it again. After 2 hours, he finally made salt. He rushed, claiming something special deserved its own container. He filled containers, then realized he'd turned all fruits to salt. Turning gold ore into stunning containers sparked instant hype. He couldn't control silver or magic-infused gold before. After grinding all day, he finally sat down for a massive meat feast. While preparing, he sprinkled thawed steaks with salt and herbs, letting them sit a minute. They watched him, and Ten apologized, admitting he wouldn't share salt. He fried meat over the fire, wishing for a pan and oil. He'd only seen lard made on TV, but now he was forced to improvise. Grilled, he wrapped steaks in leaves to rest them. He browned the outside again. He went for a bite of the meat just as two wolves closed in. He savored the taste, pushed his food aside, and told the wolves their portions waited outside, warning them it was too salty to eat. He shared a taste to prove it was safe, then handed some to Karen. He saw Karen gone, flying into the sky. He waited the next day, but she never returned. She was weird, but she should have been fine. He worried, small, defenseless. She risked attack from dangerous animals. Speaking his native tongue, he told Karen was safe. As his closest companion, she's already overflowing with magic. Karen recovered strength faster than Ko. Karen recovered strength faster than Ko. Ten and Ko sob, wondering if Ko also worried for him. He begged them not to leave, clutching Ko, and knew he'd need a distraction once calm. He tried leather tanning, but it was a total struggle. He tried magic to burn off fat, but the spell backfired instantly. He botched the process, leaving a large knife hole. After tearing his flesh, each wash left dirty remnants. The water turned black, and the strap hardened and stank. They finally hit the toughest hurdle drawing. Here, things always went wrong. He tried everything, but the skin toughened. Nothing softened it. Clueless about tanning, he couldn't understand the cause. He fed Coasta, saying it was the last time. Fur for a bed, leather for shoes. His goals were growing fast. A wolf asked what Tenno was doing. Another replied, "Not food." Wolves back with their kill, Tenno greets them and tells them to wait. Compared to before, everyone ate more and much work piled up. The chief also brought his prey, fresh from the hunt. Tenail saw Shuri's arrival sparked the chief's rivalry, and wondered how massive these animals could get. The coastline was like a small car. Tenail said since they made salt, they should try making ham. He realized he'd accidentally left the first soaking from yesterday. He checked water, murky brown. He pulled the fur out, hoping it would air dry. He noticed the fur felt way softer. He realized he'd left it in that rarely used special pot. He collected the same type of wood to extract the substance by boiling, but when he did this, unsure if it'd work, he named the dolls Shiki. He called it a nice name. Shura looked around, realizing the master crafted all the dolls. Tina reminded him he called the small ones One Eye and Three Eye. Then he ordered One Eye to fetch 3 frozen furred pieces. He explained he'd manage their care. The dolls moved fast, impressing Tina. They even tested different concentrations. They stretched the fur to prevent shrinking while drying. He thought though he created them, they seemed more skilled than he was. Ten asked for more tasks, but the yard was already full. He always tasked one person with firewood and considered clearing more space. He saw the huge, centuries-old log, feeling guilt that all these logs came from one giant tree. He showed him the tree, asked if it should be cut, then pondered if it was right since they were still cutting trees. He'll process the wood, then move it to the 3rd floor and basement. He saw the dolls hauling logs and realized they were still active. He felled many trees, feeling he'd done too much today. Back home, he called it a day. The doll offered him a comfortable chair. It's the exact hanging chair he's wanted since high school, but its perfect detail is unsettling. They'd even built a wooden bathtub and stairs with railings and anti-slip pads, but still no toilet door. He knew Karen would be shocked by these changes when she returned. Karen sat by the lake Tenham already cleaned. Next day, Tina went to clear the stumps, but every stone had vanished. He watched ants haul log scraps to the nest. He neared the den, nodding at their work. Everything was exactly as expected. Shari emerged from the lair to greet him, adding this lair was comfier than Ueda Hosuna. Tenno got Shura's invite but apologized and turned it down. He spun around to find ants digging into the earth. It shreds stumps and plows fields instantly. Inspired, Tenno decided to create a field here, saving him from constantly searching for vegetables. The tiny plot fed him well, and he could handle it. Now he wondered if potatoes would thrive here. He asked Churi what vegetables thrive there. It grew in the dirt, perfectly edible. When Shura left, Tenno told Shiki they'd farm the field. First, they'd make their own organic fertilizer. His father taught him the trick. He got Shiki to help prep the farm, then dug a hole and built a frame under a shady tree. He'd bury alternating layers of food scraps, dry leaves and dry grass. He added water to speed fermentation instantly. He waited, then opened the compost container. A beetle swarm rushed out, surprising him. Unsure how to handle it, he rushed the process to turn the room into magical vegetable storage. He made steam rise from the ground, creating a pleasant aroma. He remixed the soil, making the blend even better. The wolves chase down the boar and deliver the killing bite. He hasn't had a hunt this good in ages. Tenno spotted a mysterious object soaring through the sky. He tells Shiki the setup works for now. It's warm, so leave everything. A massive bird suddenly blocked his path. He wondered if it was Karen. As she neared, Tenno halted her. Karen burst into tears, and a shocked Tenno scrambled to explain himself. He grinned, seeing Karen was safe and more beautiful than ever. Investigating. Cole recognized Karen. Investigating. Cole recognized Karen. Karen asked for help with the monster, explaining he lacked the strength. Tenno saw a winged fluff ball and sensed its curse. He blasted the beast with purification. Curse lifted. They both asked if the water dried up. Karen promises their strength will finally return. He declared, "Among kings, one divine beast race ruled the 5 forest elements, dragons. For years they guarded the forest from humans, then vanished without a trace. If the water dragon lived, the forest water stayed clean." Karen agreed. She believed it. The dragon's power returns to revive the forest. Karen told Ko he'd recruit dragons for Tenno. Who suggested Karen's speed makes her the best solo scout while Ko offered security, but Karen said their landlord didn't need his protection. Tenno admired the water dragon's blue belly, a fluffy ball. He wondered if this world was actually alive. He asked why, and though Karen didn't know, her speech confirmed a water dragon was inside. He stroked the creature 10 times, marveling at its soft, fluffy fur. He named him Fluffy. He was shocked the master named the water dragon, but Karen loved it. Tenno saw Fluffy loved the name, so he... Sounds revealed. Shan and the others returned. He spotted Cheyenne hauling prey as massive as himself. Incredible Shine boasted they'd bagged a massive target. Tenon saw Cheyenne's tail wagging fast, looking happier than ever. Tenno recalled his recent encounter's spider offspring, a bird, and now this mysterious being. He figured the wolves deserved happiness in this new world. He constantly improved his skills and valued the work of wolves. Karen returned, so they threw a massive banquet. Tenno sliced the meat, realizing he was getting used to carving out hearts, even if he wouldn't eat them. Dissecting the prey, he finds a stone near its heart. Wondered if it was sickness or a bump. He found more stones, but they weren't in all the loot. Were they always there, or was something else at play? He scrubbed the stones, but nothing changed. He dismissed the curse and focused on the doll's actions instead. Ten told Ko he wanted to try something that day. They prepped for silvering or load the tray. They rolled the stones onto the platform, completing the installation. Mountain stones mold easily, hold the last spell cast, and resist heat. Tenno got an idea: a barbecue. He heated the stones inside the doll's container, using them just like coal. Balls. He skewered meat and veggies, insisting he needed gold or skewers for the job. He grilled stovetop, but now he realized grill shape also matters. Seeing Karen, he told her to wait. The food was almost ready. Now the leader eats cooked meat, but Cole and others still eat raw. The scent of meat lured them in. Tina wondered if he'd eaten it all, then gave him a little. He wondered if Fluffy ate meat. Seeing Fluffy eat it without hesitation, he added salt and lemon to his portion. One bite and he loved it. Time to craft more kitchen tools. A killer sauce would perfect the meat. He figured out how to create them and realized the stones weren't strange at all. He could fill them with magic. He tried and was surprised when magic instantly flowed through the stones. Magic relied on stone mountain rocks, but they lost power once depleted. He also worried toilets flushed poorly. He eyed the stone, wondering if it could work for this too. He had to confirm more magic in the stone meant more stored energy. Tenon saw the stone's color change. It's now a glowing green gem. If other stones changed, they'd each turn a unique color. Monster types set the color, and magic levels control the duration. Tennant found beautiful, useless stones he planned to sell them for cash, but doubted he'd find buyers nearby. Ten saw Ko staring at the stones and wondered what was wrong. Breathe deep, unleash fire, shocking the tenors. Was this magic Tenno knew his power, but didn't expect this sudden surge? Ko lifted the red stone, wrapped in fire, and exploded. Tenno stood stunned. Cole grabbed another stone. Tina still didn't get it, but knew Cole would keep demonstrating until he did. Tenno realized the stones boost magic. He tested it on a glass of water, focused, and the water changed. Some were pumped out, others dumped into the water. Shura arrived. Tenna greeted him. Assessing the situation, Tenno barely noticed a convenient item he received, only later understanding its true purpose. Cher offered food and told Tenno to try it. Could they finish all this? Shura explained the ants could be eaten raw. Tenno tried them with meat and found them tasty. Then he nudged Tenno to try. Tenno agreed, but suggested leaving it in the sun he planned to work the field. Sherry asks where he's headed, but the chief warns their master is displeased. Tenno hit the field, asking the dolls when their stories would end. Ants made their digging easier. He mixed the compost into the soil and kept working the land. He'd never made compost alone, but despite his doubts, he gave it a shot. He grabbed the axe and dug, hoping the soil would lead him to the ridge. He kept working until the area was finally enough. Cut potatoes in half for planting. He noticed something, questioning its cursed, unsafe nature, but Shura called it a great find, suggesting Tenno dip it in water to accumulate more soil. He finished the field and felt off. His tiny garden was turning into a massive farm. He planted 100 potatoes, but over half the field was empty, making him doubt his calculations. Shuri wondered why Tenno buried the Harvest Co. suggested storage, but Karen sensed Tenno had a secret reason for skipping it. Tenno's willing to plant now, but it's warmer than when he arrived. A large field meant weeds. He couldn't manage it all, so he wrote, he needed more stone dolls. He thanked his dolls for their hard work. While workers tended the fields, he headed to the lake. The water turned almost crystal clear. He wanted soy sauce, but had no clue how to grow the beans. No fish in the lake, so no fish sauce. He remembered a show. Fish, salt, ferment. He hoarded random information. Fluffy approached, and he thanked him for the help. Otter was trying to tell him something, but he didn't understand it back then. 13 words. Let's Go with Laughter was trying to tell him something, but Gideon grabbed a rod to fish, explaining his makeshift hook should work. He announced they're fishing for food. Suddenly, something unexpected appeared on Earth. 10 of them tried to catch it, wondering if it even had a mouth. He thanked Fluffy, crediting him, and decided it was enough for fish sauce. Gather enough? They'd stock fish sauce and fry the rest. He craved fish. At the castle, Miss Lost reports to the king while his wizard questions her story. Gamers saw Miss Lost return and were stunned it hadn't even been a month, and he knew something was wrong. Then, a man told gamers all commanders must gather in the audience hall. Once gathered, the confused bald man asked him what caused the magic stone's crack. Nizlost, a loyal warrior, fearlessly followed every order. But this, unjustly judged, he awaited baseless punishment. Approaching the forest entrance, they hit a sudden wall of light. When he woke, all the slaves had escaped. Their enhanced beast's fangs are ripped out. Stunned, he struggles to speak. A surprised man asked if they weren't dead. Miss Lost called it absurd. Irritated, the king rose to leave. The man asked where he was going. This felt insane. The king ordered the Fourth Order to stand by for instructions. Alone, Gamble called Miss Lost a coward. Miss Lost and his partner stood concerned as gamers approached, relieved they were safe. Though Miss Lost admitted he still didn't understand what happened. I asked Hammers his thoughts on the forest situation. He looked ordinary, but Mrs. Lowe also feared. They felt the forest reject them. Ms. Lowe thought they were dead crossing the wall of light. Slaves escaped, but soldiers showed no suspicion. He was baffled. Gammer warned it was a message if a creature larger than the Forest King exists, it's involved. Miss Lost asked if gamers suspected the King of Power was behind it. The players agreed it was possible, but they'd have noticed the Forest King's power way sooner. A creature larger than the forest itself could appear and settle there. The troubled king paced the corridor, unable to imagine all slaves staying. The idea was absurd, if even possible. The slave brands, reinforced with a magical stone, stopped working. He called it impossible since a century of offerings had powered up the magic stone. King looked out, head spinning, sure the country's barriers still held. But the enhanced beasts released in the forest glitched. He figured the magical stone revived them. The magical stone lets them wield forest power and to conquer the world. He obeyed the gods, his forest magic crushing creature resistance. Nobody's fought back for 10 years. A few more steps and it's over. He laughed at the two women, then instantly snapped. Drawing his sword, he wondered why now. Enough, he raged. The forest will be burned. The panel prepped to brew and discuss their fish sauce. First, cut the head, gut it, and drain blood to cleanly fillet the fish. Silver Ornith sliced the fish. Next day, he salted the fish, calculating the perfect ratio for the weight. 20 salt is enough for this fish. He rubbed the fish with salt, packed it into a jar, and sealed it airtight. He filled the jar, adding a little salt just in case. Then he sealed the jar inside, explaining it needs 2 years in a cool, dark place. Hoping magic would change the outcome, Tenno preserved it for 3 months. Then the texture grew viscous, smelling of fermentation, so he used magic to age it a year. Ko wondered what the master was doing while Shura caught a sweet scent in the air. Tenno magically made a sauce. It stank, but its unique reek, plus decomposed fish, convinced him it was enough. Now strain the mixture through a fine cloth. He executed his plan, pleased the sauce turned light brown. A precious drop of perfection. He tasted its saltiness just right, utterly delicious. Heat it to stop fermentation. Time to boil. We watched MSC cooked. I grilled it. He froze the remaining fish, so they ate fried fish that day. Returning soon, they planned to fry some for Karen. When the fish was cooked, they flipped it over and drizzled fish sauce on it. Food filled the air as Surf dug in. His unexpected reaction shook the boss and the Laptvari company. His face lit up. The saucy fish was delicious. He craved rice. His efforts paid off, and he cashed in. He enjoyed the moment, then noticed wolves approaching the fish. He snatched the food away, telling them to wait because it was way too salty to eat. Their chilling stares struck terror into him. He agreed, giving everyone a drop. He realized Karen's share still needed a boost. He spun at a noise to find Shuri and told her to quit scaring him. He joked they should stick to grilled meat. Now he could finally eat in peace. He was about to eat when the chief moved in for a bite. He ate fish, calling it delicious. No time to think the boss was watching everyone eat. That night he collapsed onto the wolf, exhausted. Nothing beats a fluffy bed. He stroked the wolf's soft fur, amazed by the monster's gradual transformation. He'd check fields tomorrow. The little ones were now the farming crew. He stepped into the field, greeted the dolls, and praised his upgraded outfit. When dolls toiled with ants in the field, he helped. He offered help, but they stayed silent. Shocked, he never knew they didn't need him. Dante come back empty-handed? They let Tenno infuse his magic into him. The chief revealed his larger object. Tenno spoke. He'll gladly help. He froze. As they enchanted the objects, Tenno thought they were just pouring it out. He asked if that was enough, but they also wanted his magic. As things cracked, Tenno apologized, realizing he might be overdone it. Suddenly, insects like Shuri and Chief crawled from the cracks. Ten yelled in surprise. Then they walked off with others, apologizing for their shouts. He felt bad for Shuri and the Chief, but he hated bugs. If they were centipedes, he'd freeze in terror. Chief hitched a ride on Chi, making Tina wonder if this was normal. Tenno told Ko it was nice walking with him again after a long break. Petting Ko, he asked Shay to ride him too. The chair shook off the thought, turning away. But he wondered if they disliked his attention on Ko. Che shot it down, insisting it wasn't true. I teased Chai for being jealous. He denied it, but then he looked back. Ko and Tenno thought him cute. He finds another cave and realizes the forest is packed with them. Approaching the cave, the 10 spot something inside. Wolf-like creatures growled at them. Inside the castle, wizards and knights assemble before the king. The man announced 25 mages from the Second Order of Chavorik would accompany them, while the Fifth Order would tame monsters. The players realized their plan worked. The king claimed he spared forest beasts, all for the country's glory. Despite his mercy, the beasts resisted, and his patience snapped, so he torched the forest. The knights knew their purpose. Finally, it was time to prove themselves. Gamers doubted it was possible. The mages wielded lethal power, and the monsters stood no chance against Chavorik's elite Fifth Order. They likely weren't facing the forest's true lords. Beasts swarmed Tenno, closing in for the kill. But Tenno's barrier forced them back. Chi orders the wolves to stop being fools and get a grip. He looked to Tenno, who used binding magic to drive the beasts into a cage. He gloats as they fall right into the trap. He quickly added Shane shouldn't worry. He released them. Once freed, the beasts instantly collapsed, spitting blood. Shocked, Tina rushed to treat them. He saw the exhausted animals fleeing for their lives. Rage flared inside him as he swore to never forgive whoever did this. King addressed subjects. We'll show Forest Kings how terrifying Enwellis is. His words fueled their rage, and with one flick the king blasted lightning skyward. Tenno quickly tripled the farming brigade, and a small lake appeared near the field. Tenno traded the land to the ants for their help farming it. Fluffy stopped by the water and created a pond to pour onto the ground. Tenno Polohis couldn't grasp Fluffy's words. Maybe Fluffy suggested clearing trees to expand the lake. Tenno kept working, then returned home, calling it a tough day. Spiders appeared, leading him to the pantry others noticed, wondering if he was okay. Tenno entered to find the empty shelves now full. He realized the pantry lacked room for winter's harvest, so Ten decided to expand it. He froze time in the cold room and caught the dolls unlocking the locks. He saw the dolls organized everything perfectly, like total pros. Tina almost jumped in but hesitated, doubting he was even needed. He hunted with Coco told Tenno in his language to listen to his heart. Tenno nodded, telling him to wait. They went hunting. Soon, they hit the barrier sedge. Tenno noted that besides the detour, it took 2 hours. He doubted they could expand the barrier further. They faced a dragon and roared together. As the dragon strikes, Tenno braces for impact. Karen flew above, glad for his early return, feeling good in Tenno's magical barrier. Noticing their hesitation, he remarked how rare it was. Karen saw the tenant down and realized normal attacks wouldn't pierce the beetle's armor, so he jumped in. Tenno stunned the crowd, slicing off the waver swing mid-air. Karen, the wolves, and Tenno were shocked his reflexes, honed from their last fight, automatically cut the wing like he'd trained. After the wyvern fell, Tenno asked Ko if they could eat it. Ko's reaction screamed delicious. Tenno spotted Karen, smiled, and asked why he looked so surprised. Heading home, Ko handed Che his waver meat, and Che thanked him. Dolls prevented Tenno from examining the work. He worried Che would leave once he found friends, but his fears were unfounded. Tenno has... Stifling his disappointment, he wondered if anything changed and where the curse hid. Lightning struck the nearby castle, stunning the king. He knew it was an attack. The country's powerful barrier made it impossible. Gamers and Mizlost discussed the attack. Mizlost was shocked the king was hit, having not seen it. He couldn't believe the barrier failed, but the gamers explained lightning struck right in front of the king. Miss Louse was impressed by the barrier's strength, but questioned the king's next move. Gamers said the king locked himself away with a magic stone, ordering the wizards to stay and layer the barrier instead of entering the forest. Miss Louse was shocked. The invincible emperor turned coward, but the players had no choice. The nation hadn't seen war in centuries. His barrier had never been breached. Miss Lost weighed Hammer's words. Gamers claim a massive strike just shattered the country's barrier. That's exactly why he's so furious. Tenno with Ko wondered if the attack missed, feeling relief. He suggested eating the wavering remaining pieces. He ordered the Gons to perform the autopsy, doubting they could handle its massive scale. Their speed impressed him. As they hauled the remains, he knew they'd strip the creature bare, wishing it peace. 10 men fried meat, noticed it toughening, and wondered if dipping it in fruit juice would help. Wolf asks Ko if he'd eaten wyvern meat. Ko replied it's quite elastic, so worth eating. He caught the sweet scent of Tenno's cooking. Tenno felt his childhood pressure return. Sweet fruit juice mixed with an onion-like vegetable. The aroma stunned. Tanam seasoned the grilled squirrel and took a bite, wishing for white rice and fresh eggs to make it perfect. They wrapped it. Waver meat tasted nothing like chicken, disappointing him. He noticed dolls frying meat, so he tried it. He remembered a show about chameleon seed oil and realized this world's flowers could produce it too. Wolves fought over roasted meat, Karen claimed it. A wolf complained Karen ate too much and demanded more, but she told him to stop hogging and share. Amidst the chaos, Ten struggled to break free from the crowd. Inside, he decided the perfect lean Friday dish was out. Instead, they defry pumpkins for a tasty meal and extract oil. These extracted oil from products, so they tried every option. Tenenol magically watered the seeds, tasted one, and realized their unique flavor was perfect for oil. He tried another, finding it even better. Suddenly, the spiders arrived with fruit. Tenno thanked them and took the seed to check inside. Examining it, he suddenly realized and asked the spiders where they found the fruit. Intrigued, Tina followed the spiders to their fruit tree. Trees grew close together, but outside the barrier. He remembered last time he expanded the barrier, Ko and others agreed. But he still couldn't reach his goal. Gamers and Miss Lost discussed the grueling journey 10 days to the forest, but months to its heart. Miss Lost was confused, so gamers revealed the plan: torch the forest starting from this spot. It'll take a few tries to get it right. Meanwhile, a shadowy figure glides over Felta, scouting the forest with magic. He spotted a place. Shine asked what Tenno was doing. Kuro noted he was applying birthday wishes to his body. Tenno replied, he'd first determine the barrier S size, then clear the area. The king, in his enchanted stone room, confidently declared his barriers unbreakable, certain this was the beast's final attack. Gamers said with greater power they'd control the country, even the world. Tenno was ready to send the curse back for good. Bright light erupted from the magical stone, stunning all the sages. Tenno vowed he'd never forget the land's curse, and those curses would soon return to their caster. Lightning burst from the stone, shocking everyone as Tendon warned the water curse was back. He cleared every tree, root, and leaf. The stone changed color, stunning the king and his wizards. Tenno felt a strange internal shift. Days later, Ko realized his territory was too massive to patrol in a single day. Days earlier, a massive wind surged, and everyone wondered where it came from. He realized he no longer felt the barrier. The chief feared Tenno was hurt. He spun around to find the doll still moving. Tenno stepped up, asking why everyone gathered. Tenno crushed the massive obstacle effortlessly, leaving him wondering what he was plotting. Tina returned home to a massive, finished wooden terrace. The sliding doors opened and closed easily. He added doors to every room, even the bathroom, exactly as he wanted. He turned. An excited doll called out, approaching. Only the massive sliding door frame visible. They brought stones. Tenno realized glass was needed for the doors. He used magic to build it for them. Tenno checked the living room and found it spotless. He asked to inspect walls. Dolls agreed. He felt magic pulsing through the walls, likely from the dolls and chambers. He nearly walked away but stopped to inspect the oil extractor. He triggered the device with magic, realizing he could push it further. Tendon expected little oil, but got a surprising yield. Its pink, sweet scent intrigued him. And though satisfied, he knew he'd need equipment upgrades. The fried eggplant-like veggies tasted amazing. I figured wolves like roasted veggies. Better serve small portions. As Tina fed wolves, Che approached. He's relieved his friends are finally healing. His friend questioned the trust, but Che sensed Tenno's gentle magic. The wolves hesitated, but he smiled at their recovery and offered more food. While eating, Tenno noticed the wolves loved pumpkin-like vegetables. He pointed out they were unnamed. He named the male wolves Chaya and Chada, white spots. That's Hara. The female wolves kept staring, and the one with red spots and eyes was Kiza. Tenno wanted the T kanji in her names, convinced his naming sense was impeccable. Tenno entered the next room and found the kitchen spotless. Dogs served meat to drive friends away who happily ate. Tenno joined others in his room, happy to finally cook. He still needed a frying pan, but finding iron ore without magnets was a total nightmare. He remembered the magnet in his wallet. Every day outside, they hunted for iron ore. Tina searched for iron with a small magnet he luckily kept in his wallet. They searched inside the barrier, but it was already full of caves. Tina wondered if the land was once volcanic. 5 days in, they still hadn't reached the mountain's core despite searching everywhere. They found many stones, but not the ore he sought. Despite not feeling tired, constant hunting drained him, so he returned. He spotted a dark path through the brush, leading straight to another cave. He lit the path with magic and headed out. He found a structure thinking it was an entrance, but it wasn't cold like a cave. He spots a blue-screened squirrel, wondering if it's alive. He cleanses and touches it. Nothing. Suddenly, the squirrel broke free. He stared down at him. He found it cute, and despite their instincts, the wolves ignored the squirrel. Confused, he asked Kaiza why werewolves ignore small prey, but she confirmed it's normal. The squirrel pointed to companions, signaling them with a call. He knew the squirrel needed him to rescue her friends. He did just that, and soon the squirrels gathered around him and frolicked. Outnumbered, a panicked Chiesa begged them to save their master. It roared, squirrels scattered, and they urgently called for help. He figured one squirrel would be no problem. Tina walked all day and hit 4 spots with 0 luck. Finding iron ore would be tough, but they had time to take it slow. They reached the cave where Tenno found Kisa and others, just 15 minutes from home. They haven't explored it yet, but Ten thinks it's useless. He spotted metal and knew it was exactly what he needed. He was gutted this key was right by his house, but he'd wasted his time on another. Tenno returned home. Karen said he found no dragons either, and Cole noted Tenno just arrived. Karen froze as a squirrel landed on her shoulder. Scared, the squirrel bolted. He felt childish, but Shura understood. He didn't even know squirrels broke in and hated them anyway. Tenem watched the population surge, doubting they could ever coexist. The dolls gathered before Tenno, leaving him puzzled what they wanted. They took him to the field. He noticed it was plowed under 2 months ago. Only 10 of the crop was harvestable. They helped plant and water, so he wondered if they'd help harvest. Looking back, Tenon noticed charred vegetables, pumpkins, and a large bacon-like vegetable. All massive, he sliced them in the kitchen, claiming he'd never returned one, then composted the rest. This soft, potato-like vegetable smelled sweet but tasted awful, so they tossed it aside. If this works, they'll add more spices next time. The chief loved the sweet root. As Shura guessed, Tenno brought more vegetables. Ten craved more, glancing back at the other. He wondered what others did before the garden. They huddled, talked, and the boss called for help. Before Tenon recovered, the new cultivation map shocked him. They didn't even ask him. They just found iron ore and forged a frying pan. This scene mirrored the wild wolf's long fight with an unknown foe. Attacked by his dark allies, Chase lost hope and welcomed death. He woke up to only a few allies wandering nearby. They wonder if the place they found was built by the king to hide. One agreed to rest there and prepare for a death match. After everything, one of them woke up, wondering if he blacked out. Feeling the healing wind, he suspected magic. "Body lighter, mind clearer," he called out, asking if others lived. Even weakened, the healing wind gave him strength to catch small prey. Scanning the forest, he saw the fireflies vanish and knew the threat was gone. Another wolf approached, offering to hunt with the first. The wolf thanked him, suggesting they help other friends. Suddenly, a sound came from the entrance. Cheyenne Ko stunned them. It was too massive to be a dark wolf. A spider appeared. Nearing Tenno, they gasped, declaring it an enemy. Ko and Che stared back at two deadly threats. Back in the present, Tennant's stunned to see Ko and Che is all grown up. He wondered why every part of farming and harvesting had to be trial and error. Ten used cave materials to switch things up. He learned spiders spin threads. Chai wielded magic, making Tina wonder if Chai S Company transformed or evolved. In the cave, there were puppies, and Tenon noticed they lost their will to fight. He purified, dispelled, healed, and cleansed them all. The wolf realized his power matched the forest's healing wind. They agreed, claiming their master cleared the forest and restored their powers. Surprised, the wolf believed it, and the king of the forest eyed his master. A kind, charming soul, Tanel looked at Chai and thought he resembled a dog. He wanted Chai to stay that size forever, uncomfortable with people looking down on him. They reached their house carved into a giant rock, surrounded by a wide clearing. Tina couldn't fathom this place's wildness. They were stunned as their yard suddenly transformed into a forest. Morning started normally. The chief greeted Tenno, confirming they followed elder instructions, planting all desired fruit trees in one place. He thanked his hard-working clan, but Shuri boasted their clan worked several times harder than planned. The terrifying walls gasped at giant beetles, some fainting. Tenno saw the pristine forest. Besides his plants, 90 tree species grew here, with nearly 200 bearing fruit. They now have 30 plants producing incredible fruit. He marveled they planted it all in half a day. In the kitchen, he claimed the right tools would turn those grids into wine. Promote fresh processed vegetables. They'll become seasonings. They snagged an iron pot. A month later, he forged an iron pan, effortlessly spotting rare gems and ores. He used a magic stone to replace coal at home and fuel his one-eyed Gom. It was easy to craft and packed with power. Making iron was a struggle, but he forged the kitchenware. Silver and gold gear is stronger but drains more magic. It's perfect for knives or windows and surprisingly resists heat. He picked up a stone and said the fluffy creatures really liked the blue and red glowing ores they found in the cave. He crafted a translucent bottle, but it dulled over time. He hoarded enhancement stones from monster hearts, knowing they'd be game changers later. These tasteless stone-like potatoes can be ground into flour, a simple trick he saw on TV. He grates potatoes with a silver grater. He immersed the mixture, then wrapped grated potatoes in a dry cloth, squeeze hard. A white, fluffy mass formed. They soaked it for 20 minutes, drained it, and he repeated the process. I soaked and drained the potatoes, collected the starch from the bottom, and spread the lumps on plates to dry. He kept at it and succeeded. He saw new lumps on top, while rare old ones stayed outside. Once everyone settled, the massive houses and extra dolls only made him feel more alone. He cooked the rabbit since it's basically chicken. He salted it, floured it, then cooked it in an iron pot. The pot felt off, but he found his nerve. One try moved him deeply, proving true courage is unbeatable. Taking a piece, a spider crept near. He gave him food and swore him to secrecy. Shaken, he stood up and claimed the final flour. He realized these scraps could make sugar, remembering how his mother once did the same with beets. Excessive scale bittered the mixture. He removed the foam, then heated the mixture until it thickened and turned purple. He kept separating the solids and spreading them out to cool. He tried it, sweet with rich umami. Outside, a strange creature watched them. Go smelled the next dish cooking, and Chair was stunned by the uniquely sweet scent. Karen arrived, heard the same failure. Giron didn't understand, claiming she scours the barrier daily, while Koja added they were guarding their master well. 10 of them brought food, calling them to eat. During dinner, Tenna revealed he mixed fresh sugar and fish sauce to create red meat teriyaki. The flavor was beyond words, and Ko agreed it was incredible. Karen G's grind finally paid off as she soared through the miasma hunting dragons. Cher sensed a powerful dragon nearby, but it's still missing. Karen agreed. That's good news, but finding one is never easy. Karen from OT admits she makes too many excuses. The manager stepped in, admitting Karen did her best, but she told them to be grateful. The beast crept toward the tenor and began devouring the food. Tenno explained it was an earth dragon, and everyone knew. The drying just joined them. As Fluffy flew, Tenna saw the wingless dragon flee, realizing they might be the same kind despite their differences. He questioned his assumption they were alike. The dog in the house was terrified by what was happening. Back at the castle, the magic stone room lay trashed and covered in scratches. The king eyed the barrier, certain it was secure. His men called it impossible, but mages find the problem in a month. 4 forgot their mission to guard the royal stone. The wizards backed the king. The king's anti-aging spell backfired, and the wizard knew they were finally paying the price. Only 4 knew the stone used sacrificed lives to prolong their lives and maintain the barrier. Power became their justice. The wizard warned the world would never forgive them and vanished. A magic stone suppressed the forest king's power, turning the woods into a threat to the country. How many more lives must he sacrifice to restore the stone? I thought the country now faced global wrath. Standing by the stone house, the leaders watched the spiders and noticed the children's traits shifting. Dressed in hellfire, they planned to blitz the enemy, but things didn't go as expected. Whenever the master appeared, he shared thread control visions while the supervisor pushed the kids to practice. He saw they weren't just running, they were snaring prey with threads and setting traps. The guest had to try it himself. He loved their brilliant idea. Tenno called the dragon a flying lizard, but knew the name wasn't right too hot to think of anything better. It wasn't a lizard at all. Its brown color reminded him of Kanako, and its dinosaur look sparked names like Rex or Patera. He tried name after name, but the dragon ignored him. Calling him a flying lizard again made the dragon flinch. 10 named the dogs, calling their leader I. The males were named Sora and Nu, and the females Amy, Ayu, and Mira. Proud of their beautiful indigo names, he couldn't confuse the similar-looking dogs. He plunged into the lake, loving the chill, but he felt the scorching 40-degree heat, realizing it was likely summer in that world. He swam through the forest, captivated by the stunning river. He was shocked they'd built to the river as the fields and gardens grew massive. He raised his eyes to the sky where 2 wolves flew, magically carrying trees. Tina understood how trees moved. Both wall trees floated, making the world amazing. Exhausted by the heat, someone claimed the seasons vanished because of their master's power, Che noted. He first felt the summer heat. Realizing its brutal intensity, they warned it was hard to endure. The chief looked full of life, exactly what Chase expected from the Keeper of Death. Even the Fenrir king couldn't handle this heat Kograul offered to use cooling magic, but he actually loved the warmth. Ignoring him, the boss sensed an ominous change. The host looked sick, and his partner agreed. He felt dizzy and soon needed to get out of the water. He suddenly wondered what he rode. A glance suggested it was. At Amoeba, she seemed different. Her rage had vanished, and her new chill attitude meant everything was fine. A man approached, explaining Tenno played with water spirits. Pure magic attracted them, but they'd never seen such a group. The person warned Tenno not to give them too much mana, but Tenno suddenly spat something out, which caused... Boss worried Tina was sick, Ko checked, but Tina insisted he was fine. Cooking made him feel good. I can believe that the meat and potatoes you cooked vanished instantly. Everyone fought for food. He decided to cook triple next time. He'd need 3, maybe 5 more large pots. If one-eyed Gallum helped cook, they'd have avoided this mess. He needs a bigger grill and more charcoal. The heat was so intense he couldn't think straight, and his head was spinning. At the castle, many slaves stood before wizards. A wizard confirmed 100 and ordered them to the magic warehouse. This amount repairs the magic stone. One more. Mage sized up the situation and suggested tracking progress to increase the amount. He reminded them slaves were born to be expendable warriors, researchers, materials, or simple workers. Publicly executing anyone who disagrees silenced the country. Now no one dares speak. Most saw sacrifice as the price for prosperity. That was their reality. Tenno floated on the amoeba mid-river, gazing at the sun. He said he has no fever, but heat keeps him from sleeping. He felt good and relaxed. He felt a rustle, saw gnomes, ants, and spiders working. He played daily, believing his heart would burn. Stay by the river, stop the curse. No one knew if humans lived there, but curses usually meant people were involved, so he thought people must exist, though. He knew they weren't in a real forest. This endless wilderness proved people had to exist. He yearned to see them, but the curse haunted his thoughts. Guards marched the castle slaves into the magic stone room. Tennom believed Japanese curses target specific people, and though places could be cursed, he considered this just his theory. Earthly spirits cursed this place. He glared at the lizard, muttering that this couldn't be happening. The situation turned strangely funny, but the terrifying shadow clung to them. They believed he possessed Ko-Inkaron. If found, cleanse it immediately. A treacherous curse obsessed Shura and others. Crime vanished. Curses aren't good or evil. The wolves felt a strange sensation. Tenno explained possession gradually eats away at them. He doubted if it was a curse or demonic, and purification for demons was uncertain. Sacrifices summoned demons to conquer the world, just like a scene from a movie. Unbearable heat, dizziness hit, but he ignored it. Both enemies. He'd destroy them all. It clicked. This was fun. Which magic circles block the demon summons? He couldn't picture the magic circle. If it's a curse, not a demon, just destroy the source person or object. Sacrifices meant deadly danger, requiring a plan. Cut to the slave slaughter. One wizard thought the technique would end it all. Find the reason and stay cold. Emotions have no place here. Studying the magic circles, Tennon's thoughts shifted. Knowing little, he pictured the black stone. But if the criminal died and the victim entered the black stone, it left him bitter. He sedated them and wiped their memories of his method. A curse would be too hard to handle, so he imagined the black stone again to double his revenge. He seals the curse, trapping it forever in the sanctuary, while the castle mage channels power into the magical stone. He surged his magic, blasting a burst of energy skyward. The magical stone and castle erupted with energy, forcing everyone back in astonishment. Rabbis looked around confused while magicians stammered. Their magic is failing, even the chief mage fell. Mage Biff quickly used his power to restore the magic stone. He instantly focused on what the magician was doing. Suddenly his mind cleared, realizing dehydration had caused his confusion. He stood up, vowing to sleep earlier, then realized he could have used magic to cool the house. Why'd he forget? Guards led slaves through the forest. Injured, they sought help in Antor, neighbor to the Enweli Empire, but King Asmalad suspected them runaway slaves or spies. His knight noticed the Empire's slave patches had finally vanished. Meliot confirmed the report as the knight revealed the magician was already interrogating the slaves. From his bed, a slave revealed their squad was scouting the forest. Only speaking on command, these rabid soldiers chose words carefully while feeling completely detached. A white light flashed, snapping them awake as they all bolted. Sanlid asked when it happened. The slaves replied they'd been wandering the forest for a month. Smelio met with his ministers. One reported a mysterious light from last month, suspecting an imperial affair. Let's go with. As Esmelio met with his ministers, they reported a mysterious Smelly says the forest blocked Enwelly's invasions, so someone suggests they value it more. Another agreed Dante dig deeper. Asmolate urged them to investigate the slave who broke the seal for a way to crush the Enwell Empire. Amigol finally spoke, hunting for a magic excuse, but he quickly denied it. Smelly saw it as a good opportunity to finally survey the forest, curious what was happening there. In the forest, they harvested grape like crops, and Tina saw it was good, and, to harvest before the heat hit, he brought baskets with dolls and his tools. Lowering his body temperature finally made him feel much better. He nearly died of heat stroke last time, and though he barely remembers casting magic, he likely did. He remembered nothing. His body felt strangely light. Ko approached, and he pulled him close, finally knowing he wasn't alone. He told the animals to back off, wondering if they lunged for the fruit, but he knew they'd miss. Everyone avoids him because the master hasn't changed, while the chief warns that the magical path is serious. Tenno's health crashed from overusing his magic for the barrier and golems, draining his energy. A huge wave of pure magic erupted. Cher had never seen or heard anything like it. Now, sudden magic loss was lethal. A shock no one imagined Ko neared Tenno, sensing his magic stabilize. Tenno warns him, but Cole eyes the grapes, realizing he can finally make wine. He'd been too focused on his mission to notice. Delighted by wine, he gathered grapes, preferring beer but unable to make it, finding wine simpler since it just needed barrels. The boys stomped the grapes in the clean vat. The work was tough but a total blast. They barreled the juice while Tenno explained the plan: ferment it, jar it, and store it in the cellar's constant cold. These grapes fermented by natural skin yeasts. He needed barrels, and luckily wood was plentiful. After 6 months, the process was tough because the hard wood he chose wouldn't bend. He matched their shapes, but a leak toppled the barrels just as he finished. Tenno tried a new method. Onlookers noticed his strange technique and asked what he was doing. He told them the bark had to go first. Eager for the product, Shura didn't know Tenno's plan, but demanded a taste, secretly hating sweets. Shura claimed the Gonsi were just watching. Ko noticed the food was different. Karen Kurios questioned Tina's actions. Ten Om remembered the massive tree he'd saw into meter-long logs. He'd used teleportation to turn them into barrels, bypassing the middle. He did it monthly for convenience, and now a car sat right by the bun. He lined up barrels in the basement, planning to expand the space first. In Enwellis, the king screams at his mage, demanding to know why the magic stone can be fixed. The sage failed repeatedly, and the mage who tried lost his memories and magic. The king scoffed, saying it was a simple matter they'd done countless times. Not enough slaves. They just needed to breed more and try again. The sage warns, find the source or it'll happen again. King asked about the wizards who tried to fix it. The major says everyone's locked in their rooms. The king ordered them executed, done with their incompetence. Stunned, the wizard denied faithful service to the king. The king ignored him, ordering his immediate execution. By dawn, the king ordered the mage to restore the magic stone, and he set off to work. The king fumed, the enchanted barrier useless, its cracks irreparable. Something felt off. He cursed the fools for failing him, and lightning terrified him. He wondered what he'd do once he found the source. He wondered if it was a foreign attack using forest cover, but quickly. No, I dismissed that thought. They were cowards, too weak to face the strongest. Growing irritated, he ordered the knights to entertain him. Slaves arrived. The king hadn't done this in ages, so torturing a few was best. He drew his sword mage. If you think the king tires of this after centuries, you are wrong. He's just getting started. Gamers gasped. He'd watch the king do it again. He joined the knights with big dreams and rose to guard the king, but he never got used to it. He knew he shouldn't, but he couldn't. To stop the king, they needed power against his sword and barrier. Centuries of feeding on victims made his cursed blade the strongest of all. Players trembled whenever the king drew his blade. Grinning cruelly, he promised the slaves would soon become one with his sword. Slaves trembled in silence until the king's sword suddenly glowed, shocking everyone, even the king himself. Warriors attacked the royal sword gamers knew it was an enemy attack. He ordered the knights to shield the king, but the enemy had already vanished. The players sensed trouble as the wizards summoned the stunned king. They kept talking, but the king didn't understand their words or why he'd dropped his sword. Something touched him, and it hurt. He demanded they stop, but seeing his bloody hand, he asked the sage for healing. The king felt protected, but remembering his sword, the sage advised him to stay down. King stood shocked as the night game closed in, convinced him the enemy was nowhere in sight. The timers agreed. Stunned, they actually wounded their king. He freed the wizards and asked to inspect the sword. Wizard agreed. Gamers looked at the blade, wondering if it was the same sinister sword. He felt no power. It was just a plain old sword. The rope binding him was just ordinary grass, the same material used for the magic stone. He suspected another forest ambush like the enchanted stone incident. They were clueless, and he realized he'd need a new plan. Someone spoke up, demanding to know who they were and what they wanted. They wanted something from him, puzzling the gamers. The sage explained. A servant activates the king's sword, and the king's been stuck since waking. The players realized they were suffering the same fate as the wizard who tried to fix the stone. They are both making a sacrifice, and his premonition just confirmed it. He eyed the slaves, the cracked wall, and saw a chance to stop the king. Gamers recalled his youth, reading his grandfather's fairy tales. One of them described a forest where trees swayed gently. The forest blessed its people. He remembered a beast man saving him on his travels and envied stories of those who met forest kings. Gamers were dying to see them, but the country's crisis forced him to stay silent. Back in the present, Gamal is fuming. Gamers knew something bothered him. Odd to meet gamers there. They saw Hamal looked unwilling and upset. Demol hoped to unleash himself in the forest, but was stopped. He craved hunting animals. Remembering the king's incident, he warned them to stay alert. Gamble accepted the warning, demanding freedom, then left. Gammer eyed the situation for advantage, but first he needed to check, after which he went to borrow slaves, but inside, gamers caught a foul stench. The man apologized, blaming the late cleaners. Recalls looking at slaves, picking favorites. The man asked if the gamers planned to slaughter them all. Slaves are nearly gone, so they begged the hammers to leave some women. Gammer refused, explaining he needed them for a task and might borrow them again. He ordered the man to mark them. A breeze ushered in the new season. 10 of Stud's weather prediction was right, and seeing the thriving wheat fields filled him with joy. He spotted this remote spot while expanding the barrier, and the day-and-a-half trek was worth it. As she approached, Tenno saw her joy. 10 doubted the wheat, but Karen would have devoured it. Shine insisted their host makes every meal delicious. Tenno admired the week, calling it perfect. Maybe Vane brought the seeds there himself. He tried it, then had others hold plant tops as he magically harvested. Together they gathered wheat. Everyone helped Tenno, and he helped them too. Thankful for the grains, he set out to cook something delicious. Finished, he realized others worried, so he suggested returning home. Hio sat and told Tenno to hop on his back to move faster. Stunned but thrilled, he realized being on top felt completely natural. Hiwa agreed and Tenno mounted. Hiwa leaped skyward. Magic propelled her. They raced incredibly fast, Tina amazed by the speed, feeling excitement and fear. When they returned, Ko greeted them, noticed Tenno missing for 2 days, and worriedly asked where he'd been. Tenno smiled, confirming his return. Hio explained he rushed back to ease COS's worry. CO thanked him, but Tenno was baffled they'd covered a day's journey in just 3 hours. Meanwhile, the king ordered Gamal, once his night order was ready, seize the forest and capture any who resisted. Gamal accepted instantly, vowing to hunt the king's enemies and drag them back in chains. He offered Gamal anything, but Gamal chose wizards and slaves. The king asked about a plan. Gamma replied he'd take what he needed. As Gamma left, the king wished he'd kicked him out sooner. He said the 5th commander would take charge. Night fell. He apologized, handing over the slave manager's report. Called to speak, he boredly asked what it was about. The knight reported slaves acting strangely, and the king asked about problems with the coats of arms. By nightfall, the report mentioned nothing about the crests. The king ordered all slaves killed and replaced, implementing these changes. He burned to see Gamble's crew. Tenno hauls a basket of fruit, thinking of yesterday. Flying was rough but amazing, and he'd do it again just slower. Walking by, he saw fallen trees already rotting. He thought he was seeing things, but everything moved way faster than in Japan. Compost usually takes a month, but here it's ready in 2 weeks while it. He noticed one pile used magic compost, the other decomposed naturally, and the natural one had better color and smell. He watched gallons carry fruits, then checked vegetable compost. Natural compost veggies showed better color. The steam's texture and density shifted. He realized food worries would vanish if the compost worked. He thought magic was all-powerful, but seeing microbes grow his crops made him doubt if it even worked on living things. Natural fermentation worked better for the fish toss and wine, so he rushed to check it. Thinking of wine brought joy, but his hands trembled. He voiced his doubts, shaking his head as the 10 began preparing. He compared charcoal grilled meat with magic-cooked cuts, then sampled magic-grown vegetables. After tests, he found best veggies need little magic to grow and cook too much, makes them spongy, taste awful. He had time, growing vegetables and cooking them old school. Eating, he decided to rest and process wheat that day. He threshed the wind-dried wheat, finding the easy work a total blast. Next day, he saved the profits for the next harvest. He cleared the massive junk and thanked the gallons for their help. Then he ground wheat with boards to husk it. He thought cutting grooves would be easy, but 3 hours later they still weren't finished. The Gauls' work reminded them time to remove chaff. They tossed wheat high, letting the wind carry it. Chaff didn't separate, so he boosted the wind. He messed up, ruining everything again. He apologized to Gon and tried to fix it. Again, Tenno spent ages, but now the wheat must dry before milling. He chose the living room for privacy, ordering the gallons to guard it from squirrels. Kuro appeared, asking for the wheat. Tenno refused, not yet. Kuro intervened, warning the other Kuro not to cause Master trouble. Intrigued, he then asked Ko if he ever wondered what Master spent his time on. The envelope replied it was grain, and he'd never eaten it. He knew Master would share "Stop humiliating yourselves." The gallons spoke of their master's unimaginable food, but mentioning Tenno's snake dish made him feel their heavy stares. Under pressure, Tennell eyed the grains. His first thought, bake bread once flour was ready. He needed yeast for bread, so he'd have to make it himself. He remembered his sister's baking and the yeast he prepped, but he'd wait until the flour was ready. He remembered he had no baking tools, just a stove. He's building a pizza oven on his wooden terrace. Fortunately, digging the wine cellar left him plenty of stones. Insulate the wooden floors and foundation with a layer of gold. It was crazy strong. The dog watched, stunned, as it effortlessly handled the harness. Tano wants the foundation lower than the deck, shaped just like the one from TV. After the grind, it's finally built. He cooks in the oven, wondering if hot coals can boost the flavor. Grilled, served everyone, then ate and loved it. The meat looks mouth-watering. Karen says the chewy, bitter texture reminds her of her comrade's favorite grill style. Ten smiles satisfied. After a busy day, he went straight to bed after dinner. Sherry burst in, the owner. His little ones returned with prey. It was an evil snake they wanted Tenno to prepare. Everyone stared. Tenno felt surprise and curiosity. At the castle, Miss Lost watched people prepare to leave, seeing many wizards and slaves taken. They vow to honor the king's will. The fifth commander's storm ruined the miracle. The quartet had arrived. The forest could fall, but Gamires refused to believe it. He realized the event gave him 10 days to prepare, regretting he couldn't save more slaves. Leaving the castle, Gamal shouted that this massive caravan takes 2 weeks to reach the forest, not until Saturday. Man explained it's easier to carry, so they'd get there faster. Records show they agreed to finish by winter. Tenno stuffed wheat into a small bag. Magic turned wheat to dark flour. He hoped it to work, but a millstone could wait. He started a sourdough starter. He washed a bottle and 2 spoons, then mixed everything with water. 1 spoon flour mixed in water. He covered it with cloth and let it sit. It's warm enough now, so this should work. Next day, he stirred 2 more flour spoonfuls into water. He waited another day, and finally it bubbled and worked perfectly. He just added flour, water, and watched the sourdough in the fridge. Fermentation was faster, so he did everything gradually. The gallons showed his measurements were off, so he built scales. He forged 2 identical stone weights. He split it into halves and quarters to measure everything perfectly. The sourdough was ready, so it was time to bake. 10 of us used fresh flour for this batch. Mix 1 part water and starter with 2 parts flour, then add 1 part sugar, 10 parts water, and salt. He kept working, reflecting inward to strike the perfect balance. He mixed sugar, warm water, added starter. Fermentation began, so he added flour, salt, and kneaded dough. Tina stirred confidently until it all finally clicked. Dough looked good. He kept kneading, knowing it was crucial. He eyed the hums, wondering what they did while kneading. Dogs and wolves watched him curiously. Tenno explained he baked delicious bread. He finished kneading, drained but satisfied. He halted the gallons to cover the dough and let it rise. Dough rested. 10 left to gather fruits. He explained the dough needed re-kneading, a second rise, then shaping after doubling. Returning, he showed the fruits to gallons, asking if they were edible. After work, he checked the dough, portioned it, and baked it. Animals watched Tenno, curious about a new, delicious smell filling the air, unlike any they'd known. Shura yelled it was the little one's grain, but Shev couldn't guess. 10 minutes later, he checked the oven. It's ready. He bit the bread, finding a crunchy crust and soft, elastic center exactly how it should be. Karen took a bite and was floored, never tasting anything so delicious. Someone mentioned his love for seeded bread, but another argued this perfection was expected from their master, who suggested the leader rethink human wisdom, but he disagreed. Tenno is amazing just for being him, while Tenno smiled, sensing beasts enjoyed the bread. He wanted pizza with cheese and butter. He'd also try pancakes with water, flour, and jam, though eggs and milk were ideal. He watched the gulms silently serve more bread. Tenno wondered why they'd vanished without a word, leaving him to his thoughts. Next morning, Tina woke up to a chill, though it was autumn. He woke up to fresh bread. He tasted it, shocked it was fluffier and tastier than his own. Tenno stepped out into a sudden chill as the weather hit wild extremes. He told the gang he hadn't seen the boss, suggesting they went underground to hibernate like Shuri and the ants. He tackled the chores. He eyed the gallons, hoping for wheat to grind. He was surprised the wheat was already magically treated. Supplies were running low, leaving only fish sauce and plenty of sugar. He gave the racers props for grinding out the salt and oil. He thought about crafting stone trinkets. As a gallon stepped up to work, Tenno waved it off, insisting he'd handle the first batch alone. Gallant seized the task. Tenno saw no point resisting the greed. Bored, he finally overhauled the kitchen, expanding it past the mountain to triple its size. He installed a stove, built a barbecue wall, and set up a pizza oven, planning to soon wash many vegetables. He prepped the food and fed the golems. The exhausting struggle finally ended. He watched Shura and the leader, confused why they weren't hibernating. They left silently with the kids. Tenno thought they just went for fried food. The Golem approached, showed him the barrels, and handed him a mug of wine. Tanile confirmed it was done, adding the wine matures fast. It smelled pleasant and tasted slightly dry, sweet. It was great. Drinking alone felt lonely, but he still drank at night. Suddenly he noticed 3 wolves argued who was strongest. Stunned, he didn't grasp what happened. As Tenno tried to stop them, Che jumped in, claiming he's the strongest. He looked up and saw Golem pouring wine for everyone. They watched, helpless. The leader declared they'd settle it now, but Shura swore he'd never lose. The tenant realized no magic was used to keep them asleep. He saw someone fall into the river, instantly ruining his peaceful drink. He claims drunk Karen fell headfirst into a barrel. Glad Fluffy and the last lizard stayed in Warmo. He approached, demanded more, calling it amazing, feeling great, and told Tenno to open another barrel. Shocked, Tenno refused, insisting he'd already told them wine is only for once a week. He threw on a jacket and headed out, but it was freezing for barely 2 weeks into autumn. Gembel's squad halted at the forest, baffled by the sudden snow ahead. They went to the nearest city to the forest, Tartarus, where snow fell heavily, and Gamal said, "Magicians talked nonsense." The man feared Gamal as punishment. He warned Gamble to stay out of the forest, as melting this heavy snow would drain all their magic. Gembel silenced reminders, saying if it was just them, it wouldn't stop them. The man said the wizards were right, he'd never seen snow so heavy. They luckily returned to Tartarus, now ruled by Marcus, the tournament winner, by King's order. Gembel suggests they hibernate there, recover strength. They gathered slaves and mounts, and Gamal ordered a man to keep slaves fed and alive. Tenno watched the snakes in the cold, but froze as Karen's sword passed, engulfed in flames. Karen asks if he's cold, so he hugs her and asks if he'd been in the fire he hadn't too. Only a day passed, yet deep snow accumulated, a sight he'd never seen in Japan. Tenno watched dogs and wolves play lively in the snow, feeling cold despite the fence between them. Loving the snow, they joined the race, who noted the hermits settled in, and Che agreed, crediting their host. Master's magic calmed Cole, and despite the wild clash with Churane and Foam, he no longer wanted to fight. Chase credited their master's power for the connection and thanked him sincerely. Tenno stroked Ko and asked if he liked it. He liked her, and his winter jacket was the best. Chi didn't get that satisfaction. He called Ko, who just let him speak. Chai approached Tenno, staring him down as he stood there confused. He faked wanting more pets his mother let him. Chase leaned his head into Tenno's hand, looking sad. Ten wondered if Che wanted pets too. The chain warned against disturbing the owner. The head said that's not what he meant. Tenno called Che nice, but Che insisted he meant something else. Ko left started his patrol as Che followed. He told him even his students would envy the master. Ki was shocked his near Fenmer strength changed nothing. Otha wasn't foolish, he noticed, when he was loved. Choi knew she'd never understand his feelings unless he said them out loud. This was Ko's pleasant trait, he joked. Che could fix him when he got back. Tenna wished Che luck as they moved on, but he feared Che would only be a friend their species kept them apart. Day dawned calm. But that day a drinking party kicked off. Tenno watched the wolf train with Shura, wondering if hybrids ever rest. These fights were now routine, and he warned them to stay safe. Worried about overdrinking, he finally relaxed, grabbed a bite, and paired his dry wine with a surge of courage. Fluffy and the flying lizard acted normal. Mid-sip, he spotted the snowman that saved Fluffy. It was so cute he obsessed over how it was made. He touched it, felt like marshmallow. He didn't know where it came from or if it was Fluffy's friend. Three soared skyward, stunning the wolves. Beauty overwhelmed Tenno. Tina woke up wondering if it was all a strange dream. It wasn't a dream. A real marshmallow sat right in front of him. Could be one of them, so he named it. First, he offered Paul to Fluffy if he disliked it, then White. No reaction. He felt the same, barely recalling what he said last night. He asked if the name Marshmallows worked. He plunged into the snow, spotting an amoeba in the water. The snow gave them a strange feeling he wanted. Their magic wasn't equal. The water tribe and everyone with similar powers shared Fluffy's magic. He learns this isn't just more, but a new type caused by the cold. Still groggy, Karen couldn't believe that tasty drink made him oversleep. He said change the approach and seek the dragon today. Then he spotted a dragon lizard flying. Ko told Karen he'd finally woken. Karen was shocked. The ice spirits were back. Ko explained the temperature dropped because the ice dragon regained power. Karen asks if only 2 dragons remain. Che wonders if they'll unite, and Ko confirms that reunion will finally heal the forest. He said dragons follow strength, calling Karen worthless. Karen hushed them, insisting he was searching for dragons and restoring the forest. What colored and created the forest's heart? Tenno saw they'd become friends and knew everything was finally okay. Chief snatched him while he slept and hauled him away. He thought he was kidnapped, terrified. Anna wondered if Shura and the others were awake. He'd play the good boy. Scanning for Shura's new nest, he finally spotted it. They gripped the blocks, ready to line the wall. He cleared a path, spotted spiders in the snow, and warped the blocks away, saying, he needs to make the storage a freezer quickly, or the snow spiders will melt. Watching Amoeba and Fluffy play, he decided to fix something for the snow creatures before the snow melted. He wondered if they cared about the roots or spring's arrival. Thought Brinkane told them to clear the riverbank. Shura and the leader applauded him, making him wonder when they learned to encourage like that. The tense season ends as they clear snow from the doll while the wool. They hunted, returning prey to their den. Tenno thanked them and noted they'd clearly been hunting. At Hammers, a man asks if he'd heard the rumors. Gamers scanned the papers and questioned the rumors. A man whispered a silly rumor mistreats slaves. The forest curses them. He asked gamers if he thought so, or if he believed those beasts capable gamers, then asked if he'd dare say that to the king. The man hesitated, and the gamers called it disrespectful. The man quickly denied any intention. Gamers laughed it off, knowing the man was fiercely loyal to the king. The man agreed, but told gamers to stop the threats, demanding respect as a lieutenant while others called the remark out of line. Once they left, the gamer figured the man's loyalty to the king would hide the truth. Meanwhile, the servant revealed edible plants were there. He showed them a dangerous snake, warning it jumps 2 body lengths and their lives depend on remembering. Tenno chopped logs while the Gonsi hauled them to build their garden fence. 10 grandfathers, knowing it's urgent, and work sped up, everyone eager after a long, idle winter. Spring's energy fueled their work so much he was barely needed. Recently, only half-hunted, and he looked normal every time. Then a wolf approached. Tenno pet it. Then he saw her, realizing ages had passed. He felt strange, wondering if she's pregnant, but dismissed it as spring. Feeling lonely, he nearly forgot to find the forest's edge. He worried all these little ones might run out of food. He checked supplies, fearing it was all they had, but pantry stocks got everyone through winter. They need to expand the field. Faced the captivated crowd. Faced the captivated crowd. A few days later, he spotted young wolves, squirrels, and others. Recent births were a success, but the reality of Ko being a mother still caught him off guard. He told Chai he crossed racial boundaries and appreciated it. He entered the beautiful forest, vowing to do anything for his growing family. Brigade's hard work in new fields meant he expanded the granary. He's shocked to find half the new fields look bizarre. He surged magic through the walls to aid the golems. While he rested, a new monster emerged. It was stunning. Tenno recognized a phasmatodea, the world's biggest insect, and she was 10 times larger than any he'd ever seen. Karen arrived, announcing she found them. She impressed Tenno, but he questioned her pride. Lately, they often puffed out their chests. She survived, revealing the creatures were tranced tree spirits. Karen agreed and said the tree spirits returned, so perhaps the world tree was reborn. 10A wondered why everyone was suddenly gathering. New creature gestured Tenno outside, and Tenno wondered why it wanted outside. He arrived, claiming he sensed a strange magical energy. Magic was calling Tenno. He sensed a mysterious magic and had to find the source. As they headed there, the tenant's strange feeling intensified. They stopped at a giant tree, stunning Tina. Shura couldn't believe it. He'd never seen such a tree. They claim the world tree rules the forest's heart. Karen heard barriers protect him, and only the chosen can reach him. Chief confessed he'd sensed his presence in the forest before. Tenno looked closer and noticed it was wilting. Ko spent years defending the forest from humans, but he's fading. Shura Grid hopes their teacher's magic can save him. Tenno looked at the horse-like creatures, feeling them wait for him. His magic was being sucked dry, so he just kept feeding it. Suddenly the leaves fell. Tenno and others submitted. Shock and doubt, was this even planned? Another creature falls sick and Tina is clueless, so Ko and Karen demand a plan as clues point to what's next. They fell, and as his foot touched one, it glowed. He was clueless, finding nothing. Then he spotted a small creature next to him, looking like a tree. As Tenno left, he saw the creature tailing them. He thought it was a wooden monster since others acted strange. Karen suggested their master's magic mixed with the tree, and Sherry called it the world tree. He confirmed it was safe, and Tenno agreed, still wondering where he was. He could be left it, but a new clearing would block the marshmallow basement. Returning home, the new creatures eagerly dove into Lake Fluffy. She liked it, the tree creature rooted by the lake and quickly grew, surprising Tenno. Amazed, he wondered if this was how trees turn into oil. He was scared, but they gained a friend. Gamble and his team fiercely fought the monsters, exterminating them. Gembel slayed the dragon, calling the hunt boring. Half the troops were enough. He knew these beasts lived for cruelty. They resetting up a magic circle to break the forest barrier, but someone warns it has layers, so they must hurry. Gembel says time is up, and soon those forest thugs will feel the mightiest emperor's power. One asks how to cook the forest lord, but another says it's a beast, spend money to take it to the king. Gembel thinks his disability truth is finally fearless and unique. Royal knights, but total cowards. 5 words. Original. They were royal knights, but all cowards. 7 words. 7, 5, 2 words. Cut. Perfect. Some find the forest different, but it's no problem. He wonders what scared the Fourth Order of Knights. Doubting they were real, he'd have crushed them. But a man stopped him, saying Sockbot, which reminded him of who he was. Mages asked why their forces looked so strange. Gamal says those idiots should think harder. Every attack targeted the castle's ancient stone. It even shattered the royal sword by draining the stone's power. And if forest attacks targeted stones, so they avoided them, plenty of other spells were available. He failed to bring elite mages, so today they'll sacrifice for power. He tells them to listen. They'll use the magic circles to shatter the forest barrier and burn everything to ash. They agreed. Gamble warned forest obstacles trap the beast, so they must burn it from the outside, moving inward. Someone wanted him to leave. Some Hamal appreciated their enthusiasm, assuring them they'd have many more chances. Another donkey arrived, he learned. Now all slaves under 5 and untrained trash would die. If they flee, they're forest prey. He eyed the cage the medicine was working. They worthless, but serving the king was an honor. Tenno watches kidwolds playing with magic. The tenant saw them growing fast, only a week old and already playing dangerously. He thought everything would be fine as long as Mom watched. Has free time and wonders if more amoebas arrived. He makes daily rounds to check on his companions. He wasn't having fun, he was dozing off. The creatures led him to the tree, and it was magnificent as always. He didn't get the stickmen's message, but miss a day's visit and they'd find him, looking sad. He sees the tree grow before his eyes, everything grows fast. Another quiet day, so he headed out to find tea leaves. Gambless magic circle mages chant spells, slaves sit. The man warns time is up, doubting they'll resist, but Gamma vows to kill anyone defying the king. Here's what should have happened. But instead, 10 movies in, things get weird and he senses danger. Suddenly, the 6-legged creatures charge. He's caught off guard. It's too early and he knows something is wrong. The tree. He wondered if chaos held magic, if healing worked. He thought it'd help, but the relief was short-lived. Cocaine asked if they'd been attacked. Tenon saw Cole's nerves for the first time and had no clue what it meant. He died again and the forest is doomed. He doubted it would take root, but it chose the spot itself. Tenno feared the fungus would rot the tree, so he ignored his lack of skill and set out to fix everything. Treating it as an attack, he used magic to max out the tree's immunity. Pests also infest roots, so he strengthens their protection. He unleashed his power, stunning his allies as Ko realized their master's magic engulfed the world tree. Tenno must identify the source to stop the problems. Pests and fungi infest the soil, so they must scan and filter the area to find the source. The leaves showed it worked, stabilizing the tree's strength. He skipped the cure for the infected trees, instead isolating every enemy of the wooden creatures to kill the problem at its source. At the castle, Gammer reread papers, expecting villages to request investigations after a mysterious light crossed the sky for days, causing widespread concern. Without proof they were linked, he knew the phenomenon hit the magic stones. A man burst in, staring hungrily, and asked gamers if he'd heard the news. The gamer replied, "You mean the 5th one who reached the forest?" "Yes, I heard. Mislos notes news travels fast. The man had it, and the forest is ruined." The players weren't satisfied. That's the problem. Even the 4th reached this point during the forest invasion. Mislos recounted their attack. Gamers fought back, but a light struck them. They immediately checked for injuries or deaths, but only Slate escaped. Mislos tried to speak, but the gamers pushed on. This warning was a luxury only the strongest afford. "What do you think follows a warning?" The boy strikes the guest. The players nod. Watch the timing. This 5th invasion could force the forest to strike back. Clenching his fists, the man vows to burn it all. Tenno realizes the hidden forest kills anyone nearby and studies the target's symptoms to find the truth. He turned any insect or any mushroom into ash. Gembel warned the attack was coming. The devils outsmarted them, so they had to show them what was waiting. The man vowed to kill them all. They arrived, but the slaves were nowhere to be found. A bright light flashed, blinding them. They saw again wizards burned. Gamal blocks it with water. That didn't work, so Gamble asked a spellcaster to extinguish the fire. They tried, but nothing worked. The fire intensified. The game ordered everyone back as the magic circle ignited. The rabbi remained trapped in the prison car near the fire. He went to Tenno. The tree looked happier. He still saw a chance, wondering if the injection took, the rest for fertilizer. He scanned his core, crushed the target, and absorbed it. Gammy hears something. Then a man explains it's a magic circle to remove barriers. Gamble warned them to move carefully, but as they advanced, the ground turned pitch black. Gamma doubted if it was a joke, stunned by the sight. Tenno watches the tree grow and kicks back, completely relaxed. Magic stabilized and he felt safe, but his heart kept pounding. For the first time, he was terrified, to shield his friends. Gambler team lost and everyone's mood shifted. Gamma looked around, not understanding. It was unimaginable. They sourced slaves there. The mage, reading reports, learned the 5th unit infiltrated the forest. Many wizards are with them, so they'll likely return safe. The wizard scoured the records and found only one way to power the stone blood sacrifices. He read connecting the magic stone demands 700 lives, 100 for visual magic, 7,000 lives over 100 years. Reading more only proved it was pointless. Players saw the forest flag Mizlost and his ally as enemies, treating their arrival as an invasion. But it was too late. Before the man could speak, sudden pressure slammed everyone to the ground. The whole castle felt it. Hammer felt like he was being crushed. He's near death, but he can't afford to fall yet. Reading the entries, everyone felt it they didn't want to die. He felt 200 slaves weren't enough to strengthen the magical stone, so he demanded a faster pace. Scanning the files, he wondered why they didn't use helper animals to do more. He heard sleepers cry even with muted emotions, which intrigued him, sparking thoughts of forgiveness. Ganners struggled up, remembering the other two. He saw Miss Lost was fine, the other man injured, still breathing. The World King's rage spills past the forest. Sage cleared his throat, thinking the cough passed, then pondered others. The Dadarchi survived, and the reader felt their pure rage. They thought they could cross him. He knew the world wouldn't forgive them. The sage alerted others to the king's crisis, summoning help. He ordered the invaders executed. A sage thought anyone else in the king's bedroom, besides his daughter and granddaughter, was strange. The king distrusted them. They entered. The sage declared he brought the person. Screaming in agony, the king surrendered and begged for a quick heal. They sever his arm, leaving him sobbing and questioning what happened to his original body. The wizards recruited a new healer who immediately began mending the king's hand. They felt no connection, so they were scooping water with a sieve and making zero progress. The king's invincible body changed. They merely covered the wound. Then the healer told the one closing the door, if the magic stone was perfect, this wouldn't happen. They couldn't grasp why they couldn't fix the magic stone. Back in the forest, everything was peaceful. Tenno watched the playing puppies instantly grow to full size. Next, he targeted the tree spirits, stick insects, and the eco tree. He named the tree Eco because it stood out from the rest. 6 weeks later, the dream looked way better. He questioned the sudden growth. Scanning the forest, he realized everything was different. He wasn't sure it was mana, but he felt all mana sources and the forest far clearer. Since Echoes recovered, things were changing. Everyone was satisfied, so he made his choice. The forest transformed.